people to join.
And good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. Severe weather is working its way out into parts of northeast South Dakota right now. We get right to the radar, but there have been numerous reports of serious wind gusts over 125 miles per hour. And a tornado was spotted here not long ago. Tornado warning was in effect out here in northeast South Dakota. This report shows here that the storm was basically near the Pier Point area and essentially moving to the northeast. So the tornado warning has expired, but we still have some very strong thunderstorm. This is a big thunderstorm cluster that's working its way through northeast South Dakota towards Britain, on up in toward the Veblen area, and it's going to be pushing into Richland County, where now we do have a very large severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the entire region. So we'll go over everything right now. If you're in the path of this storm, seek shelter in an interior room. Big time wind gusts are being developed and output from this system as it's working its way to the north and to the east, and it's moving in towards Veblen now, Sisseton and Hankinson as we speak. So this is something to take very seriously, and it's not common for a storm this size, this strength, at this time of the day here in the Northern Plains, but that's exactly what we got. And this puppy is marched all the way from central South Dakota right up into the region. So that's what we're looking at right now. And we'll keep you posted on this storm as it works its way through. Today looks to be a pretty volatile day, as we talked about last night. So let's go ahead and put up the warning information that you need to know with regards to the storm. Again, it is basically a tornado possible tag on this storm. Destructive. We got hail potential of 1.5 inches and an observed wind threat up here of 80 miles per hour. So looking at some of the things this storm has produced, a tornado that was at the Pier Point area there, that occurred at 8:13 this morning. We also have the risk for seeing more of that. Now we do continue to see here, let's go ahead and sneak on down here, 56 mile per hour gust here. That happened just moments ago, not far from the Bristol area, and we're also seeing some 1-inch hail. This storm did produce earlier wind gusts of 64 miles per hour. That was located near Stratford, and we got also an area of 58 mile per hour gusts that have happened throughout the morning. 80 mile per hour gusts down here reported as we were going down a little bit farther to the south and east this morning near Redfield, 56. 84 mile per hour near the Spink County area here in the Redfield area still. And up north of that, it looks like the gust was measured at 58. South of the, what is that, Rockham area, that's 80 mile per hour gust as well. So history of big time winds and reports of over 130 miles per hour. Let's get into more of a look at the velocity. You're looking at the regular radar data here. So essentially the storm is a dangerous one. And again, as we zoom in, we can see the hail core with this cell is making its way right through Lake City, and it's making its way. Here's a backwards C shape, so we definitely have a surge of wind on the front side of this storm that's going to be possible. Veblen, you're in the path of that. Eden, you're in the path of that. Rosslyn, it's all right over the top of your area. Britain, the storm is moving in, but the real bad part of it is right on this side of you, just off to the east. So that storm, a very large one. As we take a look at the region here, we're not seeing quite as much activity elsewhere. We'll go ahead and take a look around here momentarily, but basically just getting rolling this morning here as we have had a long night last night, and then this morning active tornado warning has been expired. So that's the good news with this particular storm system. Let me go ahead and pull up a look at the single site radar data here, and we'll go into the Aberdeen radar. It is a lot closer to the site of the event. So here we have a thunderstorm cluster. This is called a mesoscale convective complex. It is a cluster of thunderstorms that has lasted all night long. It's right here near Veblen on one edge, and we have 1, 2, 3, multiple updrafts within this cluster of thunderstorms here. And then we have what looks like some exhausting storms down on the south side near Rosslyn and also the Wabash area towards Webster. Outflow boundary right here, outflow boundary this way. So we'll have winds coming out of this storm at you in the Wabash area from the west northwest. We'll have gusty winds coming at you in that Eden area towards Sisseton from the west. And then Veblen, you're seeing this storm blasting towards you from the south and the west at this particular time. So nasty cluster of thunderstorms. When we look at the shear and the spin inside this particular cell and look at the velocities, what we're seeing here is a lot of outbound wind. This is straight outbound wind that we're looking at. So I wanted to query this since we're so close to the radar and see what it's measuring for outbound velocities. Moving into Veblen, and this will be good because you see a good estimate, I should say, because we have this backward C shape. Here is a look at that wind going away from the Aberdeen radar, and it's clocked at 73 miles per hour. And this is a solid measurement. This wind is moving this way. The beam is coming out of that way. So there is a little angle. It'll be greater than that, potentially working its way down to the ground in the Veblen area. Lake City, we have some gusts in this area that have popping up and around the 75 mile per hour range as well. So this storm is going to be capable of some significant wind gusts as well. Eden, Veblen, all of these areas, the radar is picking up this wind speed above the ground, I will add, and then that energy does sometimes get transferred in isolated places to the ground. Not everybody sees that, but some will. And this is a terrible storm with a bad history here as well. So again, seek shelter. So again, winds upwards of 70 to 80 miles are being recorded right now by the Doppler radar. There have been a couple of tornado reports from this cell as it's worked its way to the north and to the east. One was 2 miles south of Andover right here. That's a storm report from, let's see if we can see a little bit more from that one. Picture and a video of a tornado on Facebook was recorded by the National Weather Service office there and passed along. But again, 2 miles south of Andover, that was at 8:02, so some time ago. So the storm does definitely have a history with it. And here, let's go ahead and take a look at a front row seat if we can get into the cameras and take a peek at what's going on down there. So again, we do have a lot of information coming in today. We'll keep it coming to you. This storm system is moving to the north and to the east, and we'll get more information on that. Let's take a look and see if we can see any cameras up in the area up here from South Dakota's Department of Transportation. We should have a couple at any rate. Right underneath what's going on, here's one. This is, let's see, where is this located? Let's locate that. Lake City. So we just talked about Lake City, torrential rain, wind gusts out there. You can see the treetops out here kind of bending a little bit. This is a still image, by the way, as we take a look at another view from that same camera, looking along the highway there. This is South Dakota Highway 10. As we see the road surface and the storm right over the top. So very heavy rain making its way through, and very, very strong straight line wind gusts. The wind gusts that this storm has a history of producing upwards of 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. If you happen to be in any lakes country and cabins and camping areas, you'll want to get out of things like campers, RVs, or manufactured housing. This includes you folks up in the Hecla area and back all the way out to the east as well. Make sure, especially this cluster of lakes here, as we look into the Sisseton Hills and beyond, all of this area here where the lakes are, definitely please keep in mind that the winds are not something you want to ride out in things like a camper, an RV, or a motor home, if you will. So again, that's a quick look at what's going on. Let's see if we can see it from the Interstate 29 corridor from Sisseton. Here is a look. We have an overpass, and this is a good, serves as a very, very good reminder. If you happen to be in the path of a storm, do not stop under the overpass to protect your car's paint job from hail. It is a terrible location. Debris, if a tornado were to develop, can get accelerated as it's forced underneath there. And a lot of people do try to seek shelter up and under the overpass, which means you're getting up above the ground and trying to ride out the storm underneath one of the embankments there. So you're getting up higher where the wind speeds are even a little bit more dramatic. So not a good idea to seek shelter there. Looking down at Interstate 29 here, we see torrential rain making its way across in parts of the area here as the storm is just approaching the Sisseton area. So that's a quick look there. And now we'll get you back to the radar here as we begin this Monday on a terrible note here. A big time storm working its way through. And again, as we take a look at the movement of the storm, this is moving very quickly northeast at 55 miles per hour. So it is moving for you folks in Richland County here. There is a warning for your area as well. Let's read it. These are two separate National Weather Service offices. So we got two separate warnings out here. Aberdeen issuing this one, and the folks in the Grand Forks office issuing the one in southeast parts of North Dakota for a storm moving northeast at 53, tornado possible, they say. We also have the hail threat at 1.5 inches and 80 mile per hour gusts expected. As we said, we just showed you the wind estimates right here with all of the colors that you're seeing behind Hutch's old radar here, that we have very, very strong winds in these areas that you see the blue in. These winds are blowing out in different directions in Veblen and in along the border counties here as you go into southwestern parts of Richland County. That's moving right up into the Hankinson area now. So these winds will be blowing from southwest to northeast. Over here near Sisseton, we could be getting winds from the a little bit more of a southwesterly direction. And then on the south of Sisseton, we could be seeing more of a westerly component to the wind. So we're getting this arc shape to the storm system's outflow as it works its way through. And inside this system, since there's quite a cluster of thunderstorm cells, we can get spin ups along the leading edge of any one of these outflows. So what we're watching here for is storm relative velocity for spin. So let's take a look at that really quickly as well. This storm does have a history of producing recently a couple of tornadoes, and we do have embedded within this giant storm system here a couple of areas of weaker shear here. Those greens moving toward the radar, but remember, this storm is moving at 55 miles per hour, and it takes a lot of oomph from the storm and spin in the storm to cause any wind at all to go back against that 55 mile per hour flow that the storm is moving in. So we're going to see weaker inbound winds towards Aberdeen than we see outbound winds making its way through the region as well. So let's zoom in and take a look at where we do see some evidence of some spin and some shear. A motion away from the radar here, just between Sisseton and Lake City, and then motion towards. So there is a evidence of a couplet there. This outbound wind is fairly close to the ground, but the radar beam does go up, shooting higher and higher as we go farther and farther and farther and farther away from Aberdeen. So this is inflow into the storm here, but we are also seeing some shear along that leading edge of the boundary. So where the gust front is, where the gust is moving out of the thunderstorm here, big strong winds moving in the northeast, and then we do have some shearing winds coming into the storm there as well. So here is another spot of concern. Here is a brighter image, and this is one area where I do believe we do have some very tight spin and shear taking place in that thunderstorm right now. So that continues as we look on the eastern flank of this storm, closer to I-29. We see Sisseton with straight unidirectional wind over the top of the town right here, making its way towards, but on the other side, we're getting this way. See, that's a clockwise circulation there. So that is a possibility. There are times when we capture on video clockwise rotating tornadoes, and that's what we would be getting right in this area of the I-29 corridor. That would be south of Sisseton near Peaver. I do believe we have a DOT cam in that particular area, so I'll go ahead and take a look. But again, please be seeking shelter in interior rooms. Let's go ahead and also give people a look at what's going on with regards to our warning and timing of the storms. That's what we'll do next, and we'll time this out as we go through. But I think we do have a couple of cameras down in towards the Peaver area here, so let's go down south. There it is, just south of Peaver. We should be, it's going to be in all cases, you see all of the embeddedment of the rotation inside the middle of this storm because we have a bunch of cells together. We can't see far. These would be blocked by rain from anybody out there chasing. It'd be extremely dangerous type of a storm to chase unless you're farther away from it on the leading edge. Traffic moving on I-29. There is a storm. If you're watching, this is Hutch Johnson. I'm a meteorologist here in the Northern Plains and have been covering weather like this for the better part of 30 years. And if you are in this area of I-29 or you have loved ones traveling, make sure you send them a text and let them know that they're traveling into a very, very strong and dangerous thunderstorm system. It really would be the best idea as this crosses the I-29 corridor to wait it out a little bit and get out of its way. Again, with a storm like this, It is highly advisable to travel at right angles to the movement of the storm and just get out of its path if you can. So if you park in right now in the Hankinson area, and I'll get you back to the radar so you can see where that is. And if you're kind of saying, well, I'm going to wait this one out and I'm sitting here in Hankinson, not a lot of highway traveling you can do. This is moving northeast in this general direction, but to get out of its path, if you're on the interstate, is the best thing. Find shelter, stop, pull over, find shelter. Don't try to ride out a storm like this. You think of this, if you get 80-mile-per-hour gusts and you haul in an empty 18-wheeler, it's going to get toppled. It's going to get tipped over. So this is a very windy storm. Not every single location is going to get the 80-mile-per-hour winds, but you know, you don't want to chance that as well. We do have a hail report with the cell here as, again, 1 3/4 inch diameter hail, 2 miles northeast of the Eden area. Okay, so this whole bad boy here is moving to the northeast. It's moving at about 55 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and turn on the regular radar data here and give you an idea. Now, I'm taking this storm in chunks. This is all, this whole comma or blob, this dot, this ink spot here is making its way to the north and to the east. So because of that, we'll give you different perspectives from different chunks of the storm as it's working its way to the north and east. Pardon me, I'm still getting all of my toolboxes ready here with all of my tools that I need to analyze these storms together and out as we go into the morning hours. So this part of the storm here, we'll just analyze this leading edge here. In this leading edge moving north and east, and it's moving at 55 miles per hour. I'm going to have to really zoom out here to get it showing that this is just the northern part of the storm that I'm going to time out for you folks in this particular area here. So let's go ahead and move this up to about 55, 57 miles per hour and share with you. I'm going to try to keep it as perpendicular or parallel to the motion of the storm as I can. So this section of the storm that we'll be heading at you is heading into Lidgerwood, Morton, near Wahpeton, but not quite. So this is going to be crossing the I-29 corridor in this area. So Lidgerwood, you're going to get a part of the storm by 9:14. We'll probably see your name on this a couple different times if you're in Morton or Hankinson, but it will be near Mantador as well by 9:23, 9:32 Morton, Dwight by 9:23 as well, and Kent by 9:48, and coffee has arrived. Thank you very much. I got to tell you what, it is going to be a very long day, potentially with more storms going on through the afternoon hours. So we have these communities in the path of this very strong wind-producing thunderstorm cluster that has managed to live all night long, produced a couple of morning tornadoes. It's not out of the realm of likelihood that even in the dark hours of night when it was rumbling through the open prairies that it did the same. So these communities here in parts of southeast North Dakota will see this pushing up in your direction by this amount of time. We're talking on the outside 9:48 for Kent. As well. So that is a look at that. Now we're going to continue to analyze this. Give me one moment here while if you don't mind, please. We're going to pull up this. And then what this tool helps me do is tell you a little bit more about how high in the sky we're measuring these winds and such. So, okay, let's go on to the next segment of the storm here as we are analyzing what communities will be in the path of this system. See this little backwards C shape here? My pencil even has problems drawing the curve here for some reason. So let me go like that and cut it off. Okay, so what you're looking at here is there is a little notch here. That is an area where we are likely seeing an accelerated amount of wind pushed out. There's a hail core in here that's kind of collapsing down, and it's causing this side of the storm to surge out and buckle a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get this on to 55 miles per hour, moving to the northeast, and it is moving at 55 miles per hour. This storm will be in Hankinson very shortly if you're at the Dakota Magic Casino, if you're at Great Bend, by 9:24 to 9:30. That's the time frame. So you have a little bit of time yet before it pushes its way up into the Hankinson area. Otherwise, we're talking about rural areas south and west of Lidgerwood will get this thing even before 9:24 as it's working its way across the state line. Dwight, by about 9:42, the storm will be in your neck of the woods, and we're talking about Breckenridge, Wahpeton, seeing it by around 9:45. If you are in Wahpeton, Breckenridge, now is the time to brace yourself and start taking action, because this storm has managed to roam all the way across the state of South Dakota during the overnight. There is some good news in the immediate scan data that I'm looking at right now, even since I've been covering this It has weakened a little bit with its hail and the reflectivities. We're not seeing as many bright blues and we're not seeing as many whites with the storm. Wow, Hutch can see. Roth say 10:08 the storm will be on in, and the that's the I-94 corridor there, folks. So this is going to rock from I-29, jump interstates, and it's going to cross that one as we get closer to the 10 o'clock hour. Now we'll take a look at that next chunk of the storm. I will get to your questions. I see a lot of folks on here as well, and thank you so much for your trust in my weather. If you do appreciate this, it really does help me out if you hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. I do appreciate all of you who have subscribed. Thank you so very much. I also would appreciate you, if you're watching on my Facebook live feed right now, to hit the follow button, and that helps Hutch's message get out to more people here in the Northern Plains. So let's go ahead, and I'm looking at your questions. I'm sure that you have a lot, and I'm trying to go about this very systematically here in working my way around the leading edge of the storm and letting communities know the time frame for it to make its way in. This will be a larger chunk because it's going to, you'll see what I mean here. Oops. Grab my pencil, move this over, zoom out. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to start working around this bend, and we have to go in the same direction the whole blob is moving, 55 miles per hour here. And you're going to see that this part of the storm is going to have its own unique little list moving to the north and east. So on the southern side of this storm system, so we are talking about you in Sisseton, the leading edge of the storm is at you now. There is not a huge hail core over the top of you right now, but that might be because it's falling down to the ground near the interstate there. So this will be the I-29 corridor from near Peaver and Sisseton area right now, the Sisseton exit, and then as you go up here in towards Rossholt and Fairmount. So these communities near New Effington, 915, that storm will be on top of you. It's also heading towards Rossholt by 925, a little longer. So by the way, just as a note, my colors here subtly changed color, and that's about every 15 minutes. So it'll be about 15 minutes before it arrives in Rossholt. Another 15 minutes or just under before it gets to Fairmount, and we're talking about 936 for your area. Doran by 946, Campbell area, and Tinta by 948. The storm will be near you. Gusty straight line winds will be the main threat with this storm system. We could see some hail. We have had some hail upwards of around 1.5 inches in diameter. On towards Nashua and Foxhome by the 9:50 time frame, and that's that chunk of the storm. So we will continue to see thunderstorm activity. I want to show you what looks like just an ink spot here on the weather map. This covers a huge chunk of northeast North Dakota. Your average single thunderstorm is about 10 miles in diameter. So I want to get out my linear measurement tool here real quickly. Bear with me while I load that puppy up. And I want to point out to you that the rain and the hail from this is going to be quite torrential, and it's going to last for some time. It's not going to rain the entire time, even though this blob looks like one huge area of rain downdraft. That's not what's going on. There are updrafts on the leading edge feeding into each of these individual thunderstorms, small 10-mile round thunderstorms that are part of this huge cluster here. And as the storm exhausts some rain and some hail, that part will be the downdraft. There'll be rain under some of these areas. But what a radar can't tell us is where we have an updraft zone. And that might be an area in the storm here on the leading edge where it's rising up, and that air is rising and creating raindrops, creating hailstones. And that's what makes a storm cluster like this last so long. One storm burps out air, it helps feed the other one, which helps feed the next one. Oh, and by the way, it'll form new ones on the south side as it's moving along. So you have a very long area of rain to expect. So for instance, if you are in Hankinson or if you're in New Effington, you got a blob that's this long of rain potential that will be moving over your area. Not necessarily likely that it's going to rain the entire time as it does, but there is definitely that aspect of the storm. Here we go. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get all my tools out of the toolbox. So here is what you can expect for the length of this rain is about 39 to 40 miles, and you could argue that it's a little bit more than that. And this storm's moving at 55 miles per hour. So almost for a whole hour, about 48 minutes to 45 minutes, you're going to get rain making its way over your area. And it could be heavy for a good chunk of it in some places. But you're going to get waves, very heavy rain and hail, then an updraft to move over. It'll stop for a minute, get lighter, and then boom, the next cell moves over. So this is a cluster. And if you imagine that each thunderstorm cell on its own, standing on its own, is about 10 miles or so. And this is just a huge cluster of thunderstorms that's working together to actually march its way through. These thunderstorms, by the way, they take this wind that's in our atmosphere today whoopsie, let me see, there we go. So these storms are taking this south inflow, and this is what's made them last all night long. So we got south-southeast winds coming in at a pretty good clip. It's been windy here across the northern plains all day. And that air has a lot of humidity in it, or moisture from the Gulf. And that's why our dew points and the air is so sticky. And it's that fuel that has fed this cluster of thunderstorms all night long from southwestern and south central parts of South Dakota right into northeast South Dakota now. So Wahpeton, Hankinson, Veblen, you have the activity over you now, but in Richland County here, in Traverse County, and also, excuse me, we do have Wilkin County. These areas here, Traverse, Wilkin, we're seeing the storm making its way up towards you as well. So it's on its way, it's moving fairly quickly, and this flow into the storm is helping to help this storm to live all night long and make its way up into the area. Here's a look at the regional view of our radar here, and as you take a peek, we do have some storms that are in the Bismarck area. What's going on out west? You're on the other side of the low pressure system. Your wind direction will be a little bit different. The air temperatures out there will be a little bit different today. You'll be on the cooler and a less energetic side. It does not mean you will not see severe thunderstorms out in central North Dakota today. It certainly is a possibility as well. So this is how we start the morning. We had some activity out here in the Duluth area and the North Shore area, also the South Shore in northern Wisconsin. The Apostle Islands seeing some thunder shower activity as well. So a very active start to the morning. A severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for the area. We also have a severe thunderstorm watch for a greater chunk of the region here. This radar in Aberdeen is picking up some rain shower activity that is working its way up to the north and east through Devil's Lake, as well as areas to the north near, not far from Fargo. So some clouds and some showers will associated with this system, and WeatherMaker will be making its way up as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that watch that we have that's in effect here. Pardon me while I sneak a look at my buttons here. Okay, so a severe thunderstorm watch has been issued by the National Weather Service for just this storm, and here is the area of concern. Fargo, Moorhead, it does extend up into Norman County here for Ada. It extends into Mahnomen, and here when I'm done talking about this watch, I will get to your questions. I can see them out of the corner of my eye coming in. We're talking Brown and County. We're talking about the Roberts County, South Dakota area here, as well as Ottertail and Becker County and Lakes Country, Wilkin and Traverse counties in parts of west central Minnesota. So this area is under a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect here until we go to noon today. Now, models have suggested that this is going to make its way to the north and to the east, and as it does so, this storm is light all night, but the problem is we're going to start heating the atmosphere up down to the south. So now that our sun has risen on the day, things get hotter out here. The wind blowing into this will have more energy, and the storm becomes even more surface-based as that happens. So what that means is right now we're fueling this with wind that's blowing into the storm up above the ground, and it could cause some of the storm to have a little bit more of an elevated impact. But as we get into some daytime or diurnal heating and the cycle starts warming the air mass down here, that destabilizes the atmosphere even more. As that happens and we get some heating on the backside of this system as it clears this afternoon, anywhere in this area, we have the risk for seeing some severe weather today. So as a rule, what we're talking about here from the Storm Prediction Center, we're looking at now an enhanced area of severe weather. This was updated this morning, so let me clean up the clock for you up at the top line here. This is for today and for this afternoon and evening, and this is an enhanced area of severe weather. In the yellow area, which is where it left out at about 5 this morning when I was doing my updates, we have this area here with severe thunderstorm potential. This is called a slight risk. This is a level 2 on a 5-level scale in yellow of severe weather risk. Now, that's a pretty high risk. Not everywhere in this area is going to see severe storms. And in fact, many models are showing no storms even able to fire down here in South Dakota because of what's called a cap. It's a good thing. But that doesn't mean there's not energy in the atmosphere. So if any storms form in this area from parts of near Omaha and Sioux City all the way up into the I-90 corridor here, they could very quickly become pretty volatile indeed. And that is why we have this area highlighted here. The green area is a level 1 on a 5-level scale, and the severe weather risk is there. It's not 0, but it's what we call marginal. And a few storms might flirt with severe criteria. What is severe criteria? Well, you know what? If your garden gets whacked with hail that's pea size and it's driven by 80-mile-per-hour winds like the cell moving through northeast South Dakota now, you're going to think that was severe. But if it's not 1-inch diameter hail, a lot of times a warning isn't issued. If there's winds over 58 miles per hour, it's also deemed severe. So 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater, 1-inch diameter hail or greater, make it a severe thunderstorm. But let's say it's 50-mile-per-hour wind and it's pea-sized ice chunks coming down and they hit the side of your house and wipe out your garden or your crop. That can happen too. So that, by your definition, is severe. Meteorologically, if we were warning for every storm that had pea-sized hail, we would be here all day. And that used to be the case when we had a smaller threshold for hail size. In this area here, we have an enhanced risk. That means there's going to be more widespread energy in the atmosphere. Widespread thunderstorms are going to be likely in this area. And if they do unfold, they could be a little bit more volatile. That is a level 3 on that scale. Now, we'll go through right now the risks today. Tornado has been a risk. I think that it was looking up like north central parts of the state here with a greater chance of some tornadic activity. But we'll have incredible amounts of shear along the warm front, and now it includes Fargo. I thought it would move south. It has. So I think there's incredible amounts of spin in the atmosphere out here in Minnesota today too, wherever this warm front sets up, and we'll be able to analyze that throughout the day as well. But this area here with the flashy means that's the area where we most likely could see strong tornadoes. Strong tornadoes are EF2s and greater. So we're talking about some pretty serious damaging storm potential from these this atmosphere that we have in place today. So if you are in Jamestown, Valley City, if you're in Fargo, Moorhead, Hawley, all the way out towards Detroit Lakes, I will zoom this in so you can check your community out here. I want everybody in this area, in and around this area, flashy here. Carrington, New Rockford, Devil's Lake. If you're in Maddock, you're not in the flashy, okay? Can-Do, Rock Lake, not in the flashy, but Wahpeton, excuse me, my apologies, Walhalla out here, Langdon, you folks in Cavalier, Grafton, Park River, New Fulton, we're looking down towards Argyle, we're looking in towards Crookston, we're looking in towards Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls. If you are in Detroit Lakes, if you're in White Earth and Monoman, if you're in Bagley, Bemidji, Redby, up here in Waskish, all the way up towards the Badette area, Roosevelt area, and the Lake of the Woods area, any tornadoes that form could be very strong today. Okay, so now this isn't the greatest threat that we could have. That does not look like it's a high likelihood day of seeing EF5 tornadoes. This is a day where EF2 or greater, we can't rule out an EF5, but the point is that there's going to be a ton of spin in the atmosphere, an incredible amount of energy. In these green areas, you are in the tornado. What we're looking at is the area of concern for tornadoes. So Bismarck towards near Minot, the areas in and around Rock Lake, we could see some tornadoes. Aberdeen, we've seen tornadoes in and around the Sisseton area and Point South. We do have a risk for tornadoes anywhere in green. Brainerd, St. Cloud, Alexandria, Wilmer, New Ulm, Hutchinson, no relation. From Sioux Falls out the I-90 corridor out here all the way until you get in toward the 35 corridor north of Mason City and westernmost parts of Wisconsin here as we go from Hudson right up towards Superior, Wisconsin and the South Shore. So all these areas, including Ely and the Boundary Waters area here as we get into northeastern parts of Minnesota, all have a risk of tornadoes today. As we've already seen this morning, we have hail that's falling, but the flashy area, when we get into the heat of the day, when we really start warming up the atmosphere, the updrafts will get stronger. When the updrafts get stronger, we can support bigger and bigger balls of ice with those updrafts reaching 100 miles per hour. And as those updrafts come in with that velocity, the hailstones get bigger. 2 to 3 inch diameter hail will be a possibility in the flashy area. Notice that it goes outside of the yellow area. The risk for hailstorms is greater north of Pier, but the flashy area says, yeah, even down toward the I-90 corridor here, near Pier and Point South, not far from Chamberlain, as we get up into the northern portions of central South Dakota here, we could see very large hail, even though the risk of hail is lower. So that's why this flashy is here, just trying to highlight the area where we got a greater risk at seeing larger size hail. This is a look at the wind threat. This area here where we have the enhanced wind threat is this cluster of storms that's moving through this morning, and we'll have more developing this afternoon. Anywhere in the first flashy area here, we could see some wind gusts in excess of 70 to 80 miles per hour. This includes, unfortunately, the Bemidji Lakes area, all of Lakes Country in Minnesota, the Twin Cities, out towards New Ulm, Wilmer, and you folks in Montevideo, straight all the way up towards Roseau County, all the way through Grand Forks, just clips through the Devil's Lake Basin just off to the east of you. So if you're in the Nelson County area here in Michigan City, you are included in the flashy area. This level 1 here, this is an area where we're going to see some up to 80 mile per hour gusts. In here, the flashy area, this must have just been updated with the storm that put out 130 plus mile per hour winds. We could see over 100 mile per hour winds in this area. This does include the metro area of Fargo, Moorhead, Aberdeen, Sisseton Hills for the storm that's moving through right now. So we'll get you back to the radar, but the risk is going to be there this afternoon, and I will get in coming up here. We'll go over your forecast details. That's also important. Let me get to a couple of questions. I'm going to start with the YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody who's watching right now. We sure appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get to those. We got a ton here. Reports here. Let me pull this over so I can see. Okay, there we go. Are these going to stay south of Grand Forks? No, this particular storm is. The thunderstorms that form this afternoon can form where they want to. There's so much soupy air no matter where you go in our entire region. We have heat, we have humidity, and all the ingredients in place for thunderstorms in that broad area that we showed you. It's already starting to really heat up down in the Twin Cities. It's 84 degrees already, and your time is only 9:30 in the morning. So we are going to see temperatures jump into the mid 90s. We have dew points. That's the humidity, if you will, in the air. It's a measure of how much moisture is in the air. And those have been in the low to mid 70s in a few spots. And here it comes. This ridiculously moisture-laden air, sultry air. This is air like we usually see in the Gulf, and that's made its way all the way to the northern plains. We add moisture to it because we don't have any water sources here for this to increase its moisture in the air. We're talking about evapotranspiration from cornfields that is going on out here, adding moisture to the air. This southerly flow is punching dew points in the 70s right into Fargo, Moorhead. Your air conditioners will be working overtime. You're going to get out of the shower, you're going to walk outside, and you're going to start sweating, and your clothes will get wet, and you'll stay wet all day. It's going to be one of those kind of days. It's air you can wear. This is the fuel for a thunderstorm. So anywhere in this area, storms can form. But I'll tell you, we can dial it in a little better. The storms will be more likely wherever the warm front sets up today. So we look for wind shifts in the atmosphere to identify the area of the warm front. I better get back to the radar map. It looks like we've got an update, or it sounds like I've got an update for you with regards to a new warning. Yes, we do. It's punched out into Minnesota now. No, that I think was there. So let's just double check this. Yes, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings continuing for the area until 9:30 this morning. Tornado possible, severe damage, 1.5 inch diameter hail as we continue through. Good morning. Thanks for starting early this morning. Johnny, you bet. I appreciate you so much. And thanks for watching. Good morning. Will this be heading to Detroit Lakes? This is on a path, taking it right into Lakes Country. Detroit Lakes, Lake Sally, points south towards the Cormorant Lakes chain. All the lakes. We're talking about all of you. Dead Lake, and you get into Otter Tail County, you get into more. Pelican, we're talking about you folks on Highway 108 out there at the State Park at Maplewood, are in the path of this this storm as it's working its way to the northeast. This is a big time monster storm. Here's the new warning. Tornado possible. It includes Barnesville. It includes Kindred. It is basically for 1-inch hail. We have a wind threat has been observed of 70-mile-per-hour gusts. That has now stretched out to include all of Richland County, southernmost Cass and Clay counties, and out to the east out here as we go into Wilkin County, as well as parts of Otter Tail County are included in this. So from near Fergus Falls to near Pelican Rapids, including Rothsay, you are now in a severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, this warning is up pretty early here. Let me see. I don't know why my radar data is sneaking a break here, but I'll see if I can switch it out here and get it to load up some radar data here. So there we go. That's some radar data. This is from the Mayville radar. We can see that this cluster of thunderstorms now re-energizing with some hail, by the way, as it's crossing the state line into Hankinson right now, as we see this hail core pushing its way up the I-29 corridor. It's moving to the northeast. It's moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. The latest warning should have an analysis on that, 53 miles per hour. Its blob is moving to the northeast. We got big time heavy rain on the south side of it. You are still in a thunderstorm warning in the New Effington area. This is a cluster of a number of thunderstorms out there, and I will analyze now a look at if we have any rotation. This is from the Mayville radar. It is farther away than the Aberdeen radar, so it's picking up a lot of unidirectional towards the north flow here. The beam is you can see coming at the storm this way, but the winds are going to be pushing this way. So it's not parallel to the beam, which means we're getting just a small portion of the wind estimates here, but then it is pretty far off the ground. Now let me see if I can reload up the radar here in and around the Aberdeen area. So here we go, Aberdeen. Hopefully it loads up. There we go. Come on. Uh-oh, maybe we had a problem. There it is. Okay, I was wondering if that radar got damaged. We have some beam crustiness here that's kind of showing up, but we do have outflow away in the red, inflow towards green. So it's hard to believe we're having gusts coming at you from the southwest, but there's inflow. Up aloft above the ground, we have air blowing into this storm system coming in this direction, and it's getting pulled around, and it's going up, and it's creating hail that's moving into the Hankinson area. There is some shear motion toward the radar, bright greens here, and some reds away right over the Hankinson area right now. And I think we better wait for another scan. I'm going to go up in elevation angle here and take a look just a step up and see if we still see that shear. Yeah. So we've got this terrible outflow from the storm here where we got very, very strong winds blowing directly away from Aberdeen. And if I go to straight velocity, I can get an actual good estimate of what those winds are. Now, look at that. When I go to straight velocity, the flow changed direction in this area. So there's some very volatile winds doing wild things up in the cloud level of this storm, but we still do have areas of shear on this edge. This is moving away from the radar here, and this is moving towards the radar. So near Hankinson, there's pretty clear indication that there is some pretty strong spin or shear in this area right here, crossing I-29 just about 1.5 miles to 3 miles south of Hankinson, the Hankinson exit there. So that would be very close to the Dakota Magic Casino, 1 mile in here on the Interstate 29 corridor here. So this wind is blowing out. I got my wind gust estimator. Let's see if that puppy is up and awake this morning and see if it can give me an idea of some of the wind gusts. We are expecting 70-mile-per-hour gusts, so per the National Weather Service. And as we go ahead and peruse these colors, we're looking at these oranges, and the wind gust calculations are showing that we could see solid 70-mile-per-hour gusts coming out, burping out of this storm from southwest to northeast, moving into Hankinson now, Great Bend soon, Fairmount soon, Doran, Wahpeton, Campbell, Foxhome, all these communities, Morton included. Mantador, you're in the path of this gusty burp. Notice the strongest gusts are right here showing up on the radar as that hail core has built up in this area, and it has more energy if it starts collapsing. So that's what we have. More questions for you. Good morning, everybody. A serious thunderstorm capable of ridiculous winds. It has earlier in the 8 o'clock hour this morning produced a couple of tornadoes down south by the Webster area. So if you take a look at this, we're seeing that we did have some some reports down there of some tornadoes from emergency managers. So back down here in Day County, that's where that was taking place. Near Pier Point, there was another sighting of a tornado on the ground. That was a picture and video sent into the Facebook area in Day County, 2 miles south of the Andover area. So a couple of tornadoes from this big bad cluster of thunderstorms moving to the north and east. Wind is a primary concern, and along the leading edge we can get spin-ups, and there are thunderstorms embedded in this big monster storm that we measured at upwards of 50 miles in diameter. An average thunderstorm cell, an individual thunderstorm cell, averages about 10 miles in diameter, part of it being an updraft where the rising air goes in and part of it being a downdraft. That's why we can see a big thunderstorm that looks like it's raining everywhere, but if you're under the updraft part of the storm, you won't see any rain at all. So again, a couple more questions. Thanks much. Deanne says, good morning. Will this head to Detroit Lakes? We answered that. Will this be headed towards Fargo? This is going to be very close to Fargo, but I do believe it's going to pass to the south and east of us the way this thing has been moving for the last few hours now, and even from the models last night. So this particular storm may likely miss Fargo. Kindred, maybe down towards Oxbow, we'll have a better chance at seeing it. Rothsay, we already know, is in the warned area. So the storm here is working its way along, and we'll be basically kind of following my hand here in size as we expand it. And in fact, I can help you visualize that by putting Fargo on the map here. And also I can help you visualize that by doing my Crayola color box drawing here. We're going to draw this northeasterly movement of this huge cluster. We've got rain clouds moving in, but this is the area where this big bad boy is moving. And again, it's not going to be, you know, it's making its own rules as it goes along, but this is the direction it's traveling. This is the size. It's about 50 miles wide, a cluster of thunderstorms. That's going to encompass entire counties as it moves over the top of you. And that leading edge is going to come with a potential blast of wind. On the backside and inside it, we're going to get a potential blast of wind. We got a measurement here outside of Sisseton of 69 mile per hour gusts. So measured 70 mile per hour gust potential in recent measurements. That was at 9:10 just moments ago. So the data keeps coming in from this storm. It is a producer, 54 mile per hour gust at another station. I do want to point out that working with data on remote sensing like radars and Doppler LiDARs, which I have experience with early in my career, we can have little narrow bands. Think of a stream when you look in it, and you can watch the water flow, and you can see areas where the water is really moving fast and then areas where it swirls and slows down. Same thing happens. And in between our measurement gauges, it's very easy. We could have some even stronger winds. So that's why I point out what the storm is doing and where it's doing it to get an idea where it might be having some rotation and the like as we go through. So thank you for watching. Thanks for your questions. Keep them coming. We'll go over the forecast coming up here. I want to do the forecast now. So let's go ahead and get into that. I'll do a couple more questions. Got all the plants moved in Wahpeton. That's a good idea out there. That's I have a hard time reading that. X Dirty. Thanks for your input there. Not a bad idea. If you have plants hanging out there and there's 70, 80 mile per hour winds, that's a good idea to bring them in. Fargo, Moorhead, you're going to probably be on the very north edge of this. So if you are in the southern communities, Oxbow, down south as you go in on the I-29 corridor here, Horace will be a little closer to the storm. Comstock, Kindred, Leonard, you are all in the path of this storm. You'll be on the far north edge of it out on these areas out here. Christine, Barnesville, Abercrombie, and places. And Dwight, you'll be right smack in the middle of it as it works its way up to the north and to the east. A couple more questions here. How about Thief River Falls? Later today, there'll be new development. This particular storm is not moving directly toward Thief River Falls at this particular time. So we'll keep our eyes on it and we'll have some time to analyze stuff. But wherever the warm front sets up, which should be south of you, which means you're going to be in the path of any storms that form this afternoon, all modes of severe weather will be possible as well. Let's see here. Probably miss Fargo. Wadena is close to the path. Fergus Falls is dead center. Yeah, you're right there. That's exactly right. So we do have some areas of concern out there. Wadena is a little ways away, but we'll keep our eyes on that. And Hutch is covering storms on a deadly day in our area where we had over 80 plus tornadoes in the state of Minnesota and more in North Dakota. We had lives lost, not in Wadena, thankfully, but a big chunk of the town on June 17th of 2010. So yeah, we'll be watching our area very closely. Last night I asked a question, I asked people to answer it, but do you know the two most tornado-prone counties in the entire state of Minnesota? Drop an answer if you know. We'll get to that in a second. Good morning. When is it safe to get back to Valley City from Sioux Falls? So this is the only game in town right now. So if you left Sioux Falls out of your way, and then this afternoon's thunderstorms can form anywhere in that big blob area I showed you. The entire region is under the threat of storms, but they're going to be most likely to be volatile and very violent along that warm front's edge. We could still see very large hail from a few cells that form discreetly outside of that area of the warm front. But the bottom line is that that warm front is setting up shop right in this area today. The tornado risk for the strong tornadoes is up in this north central, northeast North Dakota, northwest Minnesota part, but the north central part of this map is where the strong tornado potential is. So morning might be the best time to get up. What is Sioux Falls up towards the Sisseton area? It's going to take a little while. There is not anything on the radar that I can see right now that's south of you. So in Sioux Falls, you're good. The radar in Sioux Falls has got red dot here. We're out of commission there for the time being, but this is what we have going on. So brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Keep your eyes on. Let me answer a couple of more questions. Let's see. Napoleon, we have heavy fog. Thanks for the update there. We can take a look at some visibilities out here. I haven't been looking at that, but yeah, boy, with dew points in the 70s and the air temperature in the 70s, when the temperature and the dew point are close, we can either make dew on the grass. The moisture has to condense out of the atmosphere when the temperature and the dew point are equal. So it makes dew, it makes frost, and also in the sky will make a cloud. So we do have some fog potential for sure over the next 24 to 36 hours across Minnesota especially. Thank you for your report. Napoleon, the Gackle area, though, that's south central, heavy fog out there in the southern Missouri River Valley. We're talking out here with some fog out there. So that's anywhere we look on the map with those conditions, temperature near the dew point, we have that potential for fog. Hutch, is there a chance that Fargo will have a tornado warning this morning? No. Afternoon, a better chance. I don't think this morning we're going to have ourselves a tornado, morning being before noon. But as we get close to noon, I'm expecting the heat to start firing storms up. We will look at the model together here together. I'm so old, I was at the Cat's Eye outside Elbow Lake. Johnny, thank you much. Very serious is this storm. In less than an hour, watching the Hankinson cam at the Dakota Magic should show what is coming. Yep, thank you very much. And I'd say probably Perham looking at the AccuWeather projections. Okay, we'll take a look at our projections here now. I'm getting to the end. Amber, thank you. Polk County, this particular thunderstorm cell right here, not heading towards Polk County, but if you're asking for what counties are tornado prone, that is one of the top two. Polk County is this big, huge county right here, and it's U-shaped. But believe it or not, we get more humid air and we get usually more volatile storms and more frequent storms in the southeast part of Minnesota. But this area up here has as many tornadoes as anywhere. In fact, more tornadoes than most of Minnesota. The other county, let me see if I see any answers here. Otter Tail County. Okay, so right here, Fergus Falls, Otter Tail Lake area has more tornadoes. Wadena sits right here. That tornado rocked out of the southeast parts of Otter Tail County on June 17th of 2010. It was a very strong and violent tornado, and it made its way all the way up to Bluffton and up into the Wadena area up here. So that was one bad storm that made its way right here as it worked its way into southern parts of Wadena County. So very good. Hutch, please answer if you see what happened to the Polo and Highmore this morning. I'm really worried about my family and friends there. I will take a look. I do have my link up for the National Weather Service for you here, but essentially I'm at the mercy of the reports that have come out from the National Weather Service site. Unfortunately, during the event, it does get a little bit more difficult to go back through records because there's probably a lot of information that came out from that particular area. So I'll do what I can to find out some of the reports out there, but it'd take a little bit of research. And again, you're asking, Raven says, I forgot about Ottertail. Those are two areas right here in Hutch's wheelhouse. My home base here is in the Fargo Moorhead area, Polk County and Ottertail County. Unfortunately, this part of Minnesota, as we get down in here, does not have the best radar coverage. We're getting away from Aberdeen's radar, so we're getting away from seeing the lower part of the cloud. Here, we do have the Mayville radar here helping it with some of Polk County. But again, as we get off in towards places like Bemidji, hit so hard the last couple of years, Alexandria, these are kind of in radar no man's land out here in parts of Ottertail, Becker County, Clearwater, and Beltrami counties, Hubbard counties here. The radar beam is so far away from the radar sites here, we're looking way up high, a couple of miles high up into the cloud. What about Detroit Lakes? Detroit Lakes is in the path of this particular thunderstorm cell, so yes, in time, it does look like it will be moving into your general direction. So please be prepared to seek shelter into your room, staying away from windows. Gusty winds, tornadoes are possible with this storm as it works its way through, and at times it's producing some hail up to about 1.5 inches in diameter so far. Things are heating up for the day though, and it could get a little bit worse. Pardon me, I'm going to get a drink of water here. So thanks for your questions. That was from my channel. Dilworth, yeah, we're in the path of this storm, but it's a little bit on the close side there. Let's just say it's going to shave the Dilworth area. So once we get outside of Fargo here, you can kind of see my hand drawn. It's going to be more a problem in, say, Rothsay and maybe Barnesville than it will be anywhere near exactly close to Fargo. Fargo and Moorhead and Dilworth are kind of sister communities right here. So I do think that the best chance is this storm slides to the south and east of Dilworth right now, but these thunderstorms make their own rules. So this one moves in a northeast path. It's moving at 55 miles per hour, so it's obeying the law. A speed limit from the 80s back there. So that's what's going on. I'll do a couple questions. Your forecast coming now. Thanks for your stars. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's see. I've got a lot of stuff coming in. Watching from Thief River Falls. Watching Haley. Thank you for your stars. Would it be safer in Fargo for the afternoon and evening storms? Live in the 5% area of tornadoes. Yeah. So that is a great question, and I understand folks are very, very concerned about the weather for today. That's what I'm here for. What I want you to do, take a deep breath with me, because I need to do that. In fact, I'm walking over here and getting my coffee. I haven't had my coffee, and I'm not grumpy. I'm just telling you I need my coffee. I want all of us to think about this together. There's one storm out here, and it's a big cluster of thunderstorms. That's it right now, and it's affecting the southern Red River Valley, moving into the southern Red River Valley as it moves into Breckenridge, Wahpeton, and southeasternmost North Dakota, northeast South Dakota. That's it. But later today, we have a chance at storms developing. I don't think that you need to pack bags and leave town or do anything like that. But if you're in Lakes Country up here, the Red Lakes area, if you're anywhere in this 5% area that I was showing earlier with the flashy Fargo, Grand Forks, the most populated area of North Dakota and northwest Minnesota here, many communities in this rich farming agricultural land are in the path of strong thunderstorms. We don't need to all get up and leave. If you look at the size of this thunderstorm producing a tornado this morning, this thunderstorm is 50 miles in diameter, 50 miles in diameter, moving at 55 miles per hour. It's impacting a huge area. It's bigger than most thunderstorms. Today, we're going to have a lot of thunderstorms start forming. There'll be individual storms will be 10 miles, 15 miles wide. They might congeal together like this does late at night as we get along the international border. You want to start planning now. Now is and so you're asking if you should leave town. I don't know if that's prudent. There's a lot of good places to shelter in Fargo Moorhead. Start thinking about, if I live in a manufactured home, a mobile home, where can I go if a tornado warning is issued for Fargo? So yes, Fargo Valley City, all the way out to near Jamestown, the Highway 200 corridor, the Highway 2 corridor from near Devil's Lake here into Nelson County. I'm going to put that 5% risk area back up so you can see. We can get tornadoes outside of that 5% risk area that can be pretty volatile as well. So let's just keep that in mind. The atmosphere does have a lot of energy. But no, we don't need to vacate the Northern Plains today. People think about in Oklahoma, they live with this stuff all the time. And let's go ahead and turn this on to look at the tornado risk. So pardon my eyeballs, need the coffee. So every community is not going to get hit. The size of an average thunderstorm is 10 miles. in diameter. So you take about the size of the urban sprawl of Fargo, Moorhead area, West Fargo, and that area is the size of an average thunderstorm. That's usually half updraft, half downdraft. So the tornado can impact a 100-yard area. So a little pencil can help us diagnose the risk of that. So the risk of it hitting any one community is not high, and it's impossible to tell exactly what community is going to have a thunderstorm that's capable of a strong tornado move over. So I want you to think about, where can I go to stay safe? And in particular, for all of our friends who are making a long weekend out of this weekend, and you're staying out here in Lakes Country, you're in Becker County, you're in Otter Tail County, you're up here up in Kitson County, anywhere here where you're in Lakes area, Bemidji, Park Rapids, beautiful Becker County, beautiful Monoman County, all this area, all these lakes. If you're out in North Dakota and you're on Devil's Lake and you have a RV out there or a camper out there or a tent out there, these are the folks that really need to think about this and know exactly where you can go if a tornado warning is issued, so you can get out of that camper, RV, mobile home, manufactured home, porta potty, or whatever you're sitting out, riding out the storm in. Today is not the day to mess around. Today's the day to plan. So if you're in Fargo, I would say don't leave Fargo. Just make a note of, if there's a tornado warning, where can I go? If I live in a manufactured home, that's not a good place to be during a tornado warning. So maybe I know my neighbor who lives in a house on the other side of town and say, hey, I'm bringing tacos. Let's watch Hutch, and he'll cover the storms and tell us what. I'll bring the tacos and we'll go to your basement. That's the kind of stuff that I want you to think about now. If you're at a campsite and you happen to be out here in northern Otter Tail County at Maplewood State Park, you know, beautiful country out there, a lot of trees. You can't even see tornadoes coming in those areas. Very difficult. We'll let you know when a tornado warning is issued, but if you're camping at these areas, you need to know where a shower house is, how many people can fit in there, will I be able to get there? That's the kind of stuff. Pre-plan. Think, if a tornado's warning is issued, where can I go to stay safe? Sometimes we're not always at home when these things hit, so we want to prepare those outside people. If you are working outdoors today, make sure you're staying informed with Hutch's weather. Drop an email to your outdoor working counterparts. If you're in agriculture out there hitting the fields, you're trying, today not a good day to be a spraying. We got 30-mile-per-hour gusts from the south if you're in agriculture. But the bottom line is, if you're outdoors, pay attention to warnings and have Hutch's weather app handy. Have weather information handy. If storms approach your area, today's the day where the hair might stand up on the back of your neck a little bit as these storms approach, because they're going to be ugly looking storms. And usually when the hair stands up on the back of your neck, it's Mother Nature telling you something isn't quite right. And so today, make those plans now before that threat happens. There is a threat right now for some very gusty winds and some isolated tornadic activity as the storm moves to the north and east. So thank you for your concern. I do appreciate it. I'm not here trying to scare anybody and saying, leave town. That's not the best thing. And in fact, when a tornado warning is issued, sometimes it's issued when it's already right over your community because it just got sighted. We look at radars in meteorology and we can see spin, and not every spin that we see is warned. We have to see it persist. Is it deep through the storm? How long is it? How strong is it? Do we have any ground truth? Can we look at cameras? And by the time it's decided, yep, let's pull the trigger and do a tornado warning, maybe a storm spotter calls in and says, we got a tornado on the ground. That's why they're so important. People who take the classes on storm spotting and can see a wall cloud that's rotating, yep, oh, we got funnel clouds, boom. That kind of communication is critical today, and the National Weather Service has channels to that. You are part of this. We are part of this together. So if you're witnessing something, it really is important, if your backyard had 1 inch or 1.5 inch hail, to call that in and let people know. That information gets to the Weather Service, and then we know what that storm is capable of, at least at that location and at that time. Forecast time. Let's get into it here. We're going to go right to the model, and let's talk about this. So a lot of questions about forecast. I'm sorry it's taken me so long. We have active severe thunderstorm warnings in parts of northeast South Dakota and parts of southeast North Dakota that are in effect right now. This is the latest model. I'm going to go to the Okay, this is the latest model. This model updates every hour, okay? So every hour it changes its mind. It doesn't make it better every time, it just changes its mind. But let's take a look at the most recent forecast model. It just came out. We did just do, we might go back to the other one to get an idea. Look at where this blob goes. So as you're watching it, here's the Fargo Moorhead area. So this is just a little bit farther to the north. We may have a chance at seeing the southern metro area get clipped by this storm. This would include Hawley in Clay County and all the way out into the western reaches of Becker and Otter Tail counties here. So look at this. Western Otter Tail County, the storm is going to move in. It has a backward C shape. It's a cluster of thunderstorms moving through. The rest of the area, it's just a pretty quiet day. Gusty south winds, heat builds down here. Those south winds flow up. We have ourselves a warm front out here. You see where the winds turn and they start going this way? These are isobars. And the winds tend to travel not parallel, but pretty close to parallel to these. And then we get this flow moving easterly up here. And then back here, it's from the north. So out here we have north flow, cooler, drier air coming in from Canada. That's going to limit the energy in the atmosphere. But where we have hot, humid air, that's the energy and fuel we need for thunderstorms. Here, it's very hot at the ground. It will be today in the mid and upper 90s in some places in Iowa and Nebraska and South Dakota. That air is also going to be hot above the ground. And when the air above these storms is hot, it can limit thunderstorms from even forming. That is why many of us will be spared thunderstorms today. Please don't complain to Hutch that you guys forecast bad storms and it didn't happen. We're saying if they happen, there will be a very good chance that we see all modes of severe weather if we get thunderstorms forming. So the atmosphere will be ripe in and around the area where the warm front sets up. So where this warm air pushes north, and here we can see the isobars. See how they kink right here? The kinks in the isobar, usually a pretty good rendition or an idea of where the warm front is sitting. So it's going to be very close to this area right now. These little kinks right here. That warm front, anywhere along the warm front and points north, the wind immediately turns and changes direction. So surface winds will be coming out of the east ahead of the warm front. So if you have east winds today, you're in the volatile zone. If you have winds from the east today, you're in the volatile zone. If you have winds from the south, you're on the warm or the hot side of the warm front. And we still can get storms down in this area when the cold front sweeps through it a little bit later. But the most volatile area today, the forecast is for the 5% area up here, that's likely going to be the bottom edge of the warm front that sets up shop down here. This low pressure system sets up shop right here. Warm front extends out through Minnesota. Boom, storms fiery this afternoon. Let's see where this model has them firing. So as we go in towards noon, here's noon. This storm is rocking through Becker, Otter Tail County, Clearwater County, the long skinny guy here. There's Becker, Beltrami County over here in Hubbard County. So it is on the doorstep, and this is northern and eastern parts of Becker County. So if you're at height of Land Lake, for instance, the Highway 34 corridor between the Detroit Lakes area and Hubbard County and Park Rapids will have a chance at seeing this storm move through. And then as we continue on in time, this is the midday hour now. Now we're starting to see things really heat up here along the warm front, okay? Fargo. That storm's been gone for a couple hours. Boom, shakalaka, our heat starts rising. If we don't have a cloud shield over us all day and keeping us where we get this heat, now you're starting to see these little pimples start. So it won't take long this afternoon. I think we could see some storms forming pretty early in the event here as how the models are showing. Out here, we could have strong storms. Yes, they could be marginally severe. They fire because the air is cooler and it allows storms to rise. What's going on here is that cap. It's too hot up here. These storms are they're trying, and then boom, some of them take off. This model might not have it right. So I do want to take a moment to mention no single model that you have on your app, including Hutch's weather app, is going to be right every time. It doesn't happen, period. But the bottom line is that this is where the warm front is projected by this model to set up here. North of it, we have storms starting to fire. This is as we get into about the 3 p.m. time frame. And then any of these storms here in northwest parts of Minnesota, northeast parts of North Dakota. This does include the Fargo Moorhead area, but particularly Hillsboro up towards Thompson and on up into Grand Forks, you are talking Red Lake Falls, Thief River Falls, and the northern parts of Minnesota, seeing the risk for these storms moving through. Look at these storms. They look isolated and individual and puny compared to this monster that's moving through right now. That's progged to continue to blast right through Bemidji. That's going to be at 1 p.m. So about 11:30, I'd be preparing in Bemidji and keeping your eyes on Hutch's weather. I'll be here through the day. I will have my stream going and keep it connected through the day to keep you informed. No break here, and you don't have to wait for a newscast at a specific time. Here we go. Boom. There it is, making its way into Koochiching County here, heading towards the International Falls. If you're in Walker, if you're in 10 Strike, if you're in Black Duck, these areas here will have that chance of the storm moving through according to this. There is a slight chance. Sometimes these clusters of storms start turning into the moist flow or following the warm front here. So it can change direction. So just know this is one idea of where this storm is going to be going. Boom. Gets into Koochiching County and it starts blowing out, and it looks like it's spreading into an outflow storm here, and it continues all the way into Thunder Bay, into Ontario as we go into the evening hour. So here we sit at your dinner hour. We're looking at 5 o'clock or so, and we have thunderstorms aplenty here. We have thunderstorms aplenty here. These could be severe, but the churning and turning storms, these are the ones we're watching along this warm front boundary here that sets up across the northern parts of Minnesota and works its way through. Then we have cold front coming through. Boom, the wind shifts and becomes westerly. Once you get westerly winds in your area, your risk for severe weather does go down significantly. So that means over here, we're looking at less risk of severe. Here is our area. Along this cold front, we could see strong storms, but there's not as much twisting or spinning in the air as we have here in the warm front zone. So that is a look at meteorology. These are the areas that we'll be watching closely as we go through our day today. The time here is going to be 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. We'll still have this moving through. 9 o'clock at night, the risk for these tornadoes of violent or strong tornadoes goes and shifts off to the east. And this area here is not even in that risk for, or 5% risk for strong tornadoes, but we could still see a couple up here as we go into the late night hours. And that is what we got going on. Now, as we go through the overnight tonight, Hutch gets a night off, you get a night off. You don't have to look at my face no more, and I'm glad for you. In that case. So now let's get back to the radar here, and now we've had a look at our forecast. I will try to do a good job of going from forecast to right now data. Let's get back to the storm coverage here, and this is again the 5% area of risk of tornadoes, but it also has flashy bad. That means we could have an area of strong tornadoes. EF2 or even greater will be a possibility here, but EF2 is something that we could see forming here today. Those are strong tornadoes, violent winds, and they're pretty doggone destructive. Those are not ones to fool with out there. Let's go right back to the latest radar scan, get you into these storms here. The warnings are done in northern parts of Richland County now. We still have some strong activity exiting through Wheaton here, up into the areas of Wilkin County. As you go up in towards Wahpeton and Breckenridge, that's where things are happening now. So our friends at the Chahinkapazoo seeing the storm making its way through, and now it's moving to Foxholm and Fergus Falls. You're on the edge of this storm as well. Notice the radar looks kind of ratty out here. We're getting a little bit farther away from the radar site here. The hail core over Doran right now, Campbell. We got a wind report out here near Fairmount. Let's go ahead and check what that is. 64-mile-per-hour gust, 2 miles west of Tenney. Was reported out there. So still producing 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts in isolated places. Pardon me, as this latest radar scan comes in, that hail core is making its way either onto the ground or just up above the Foxholm area now. So hail cores build up and then they collapse because the updraft can't support the weight of the hail anymore. So we don't know for sure if that's a hailstone hitting the ground, but if there is going to be hail hitting the ground, it's going to be right here or off a little bit to the east. This warning is for Fergus Falls. We'll time this out for you, moving to the northeast at about 53 miles per hour. Here's the latest from my friends friends and colleagues at the National Weather Service, and this is a damaging threat is considerable. 1-inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour observed wind potential. Tornado remains possible. Let's go ahead and roll through the motions of analyzing this storm. Now, this is a long ways away from the radar here in Aberdeen, far enough where I'm getting some muddled data. I will see if Mayville gives me any better data. I really think this is unfortunate here. There we go. We got a bigger hail core from the Mayville radar here. It's moving in towards this area right now and pushing into the boundary here with Otter Tail County and Wilkin County. Foxhome, that is where the hail core is. Backwards C-shaped gusty winds in this zone coming at you from the west. Moving into Rothsay to Fergus Falls. That's moving up the northeast. This storm is going to bypass Barnesville and bypass our Fargo area here completely and go right into the Otter Tail County area. And keep its way through. So if you're in Barnesville and Rothsay, this severe thunderstorm cluster is now going to decide to make its way off in that general direction. So some good news there for you folks. Now let's take a look at this hail core. Let's estimate some timings for cities. We're going to do a bigger stretch here now as we go along the leading edge of the hail core and northeast at 55 miles per hour. Let's put it in Rothsay now by about 10:08. I got to turn the clocky clock on and let there be a clock, please. Okay, there we go. 10:03, we have that. So 10:08, within 5 minutes, that hail core will be punching in towards Rothsay. It doesn't mean the hailstones will be hitting Rothsay. They could be up in the air over Rothsay, but those are some big, bright hail balls there in that hail core. Fergus Falls, 10:09. Erhard, 10:16. Another reminder that the colors that subtly change here, this is the first 15 minutes. So it'll be within 15 minutes in this first section, within 30 minutes in this section, 45 here and on out towards an hour on the outside there. So Fergus by 10:36. So this gives you an idea. We're talking about Star Lake. We're talking about you folks up here in Otter Tail. That's Big Otter Tail Lake, Pelican. So you can see Otter Tail City here in Otter Tail Lake. This is the area where we got campers, people enjoying lakes country on hot, steamy, sultry days. This storm is moving right towards you. If you happen to be camping at Maplewood State Park, here's Pelican Rapids, here's Maplewood State Park. This is moving right towards you. Now is the time in Maplewood State Park to start considering getting out of your camper and finding shelter somewhere else. If you're in Rothsay, it's not a bad idea to just drive up to Barnesville and grab yourself a cup of coffee. Get out of the path of this storm here if you happen to be out at Lakes Country. If you are in Lakes Country in Fergus Falls and in this area here of western parts of Otter Tail County, and you don't have shelter to go to, then travel at right angles of the storm and go out of the path of the storm. But do not try to ride it out in your camper, in your RV, your tent, and get out and away from this storm. Every single location is not going to get the 60-mile-per-hour winds. Every location is not going to get the tornado, but this is a very serious storm heading in towards Frazee by the time we get to 10:43. So if you're out there at Frazee, have friends out there on the lake outside of Frazee, you just got to make sure outside of the Becker County area and Detroit Lakes. This does not mean we're given the all clear for the Cormorant Lakes chain yet at this point, but it's most likely going to track along this path here. So let's keep that in mind. Right now, this looks like better news. We have a developing cell starting to take form with some heating of the day looking like going on in southern Becker County there as you get out towards Audubon here, right? So that's what looks like we have going on there. That's a quick look at the timing. I do want to analyze the spin in this, and if there is a chance for some spin, where is it, Hutch? So let's get it. Fergus Falls, Otter Tail, we got an updraft here, we got an updraft here, we got an updraft here, we got an updraft here. There's multiple thunderstorms in this cluster of mayhem going on right now. And now as we take a look at the spin, the colors are going to change. And we're going to look at the storm relative velocity from Mayville. There the beam went. This is wind blowing towards Mayville. This is away. The Foxhome area does have some spin, but see how the bright greens and bright reds are far apart from each other? This would indicate a broad area of rotation, not necessarily tornadic type activity, but there are areas of spin along this leading edge of the storm moving in towards Elizabeth, moving in the general direction of Fergus Falls. There is a little area out here on the outside of the gust front. That can happen where gusty winds interact with the inflow into the thunderstorm, and it can cause a spin up. on that side. We have another spot of spin here. Please remember, this can be a lot to look at here, and it's a huge storm. It's 50 miles in diameter. It's a cluster of thunderstorms. There are many updrafts, there are many inflows into this big bad boy, and we got another update coming here shortly here. It's probably going to continue it off to the north and east. There's another area of spin not far from Wendell here. That has some bright red next to some bright green in there, so that is an area where we could have some concerns. So just know this, if you are in the path of this storm, a camper is not a place to be. The RV, the mobile home, the manufactured home, get out of those, seek shelter in a sturdy structure. 60-mile-per-hour winds can topple trees, and we do have a risk for some 1-inch diameter hail. We do have a report of some wind gusts as high as 70 miles per hour with this storm as it's made its way through. So again, another area of spin. This is motion towards the radar, motion away, but you notice that's a clockwise area of spin out there. So we're likely looking at some outflow from one of the storms or inflow into the southern side of the storm right there as probably more likely. We got the new information now. This warning goes all the way out to Perham, all of Otter Tail. So Otter Tail Lake is involved, Battle Lake out here as you go to east and west Battle Lake. That storm is heading towards you. Lakes country, now is the time. This is a real prompt warning out from the National Weather Service to get you informed out there as this storm moves through. Pardon me, I have to do this. Just 1 second. I will be right back. Check, check, hello, check, check. Okay, all right, batteries on the mic got a little bit low. Now, what we got to do here is we got to keep our eyes on this. This is the warning for the storm moving out towards Battle Lake, Otter Tail. Perham is on it. There's the Highway 10 corridor. So the warning does not include Cormorant Lake up here. It does not include all of the lakes area. You can actually see the outline right now of Otter Tail Lake right here. Now, so many lakes areas that are right in the path of this storm out there. Some areas, not all areas, will have destruction, and this wind is going to come at you from southwest to northeast. So that's another thing. If you know you're on this this side of the lake over here, on the north and the east side, that wind has no trees to slow it down over this bigger lake here. So this northern side will have more of an opportunity or chance to see some potential damage if those winds strike the lake there. So Battle Lakes area all the way up in towards the Pelican Lake area. There's Perham as we take you in a little closer. Vergas Star Lake in that area is going to be right on the edge of the storm there. And then as you look here on Highway 108 between Pelican Rapids and Dent, we have the Maplewood State Park area here that is in the path of the storm. The National Weather Service says with its brand new warning you're seeing come out right now, tornado possible, hail becoming less of a threat with this storm right now. So it's expecting 3/4 inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as the storm makes its way across. So that's the good news. Tornado possible, gusts to 60 miles per hour, and a little bit of a weakening of the hail core with this cell as it works its way through. That was the analysis of the spin potential. And now let's take a look and see if my burp gust estimator here is going to give us the idea of where the gustiest winds are right now. So as we look at this little blob, what we're doing is calculating the energy that could be created as we have a collapsing hail core making its way down, a huge towering thunderstorm, rain shaft coming down, and when that energy hits the ground, how fast could the wind gusts be? Where we see this light orange color, not the dark orange color, that's where the strongest wind looks to be showing up, estimated and calculated by the radar. This does not always correlate with what happens on the ground. We're seeing 70+ mile-per-hour wind potential making its way through Foxhome, heading toward the I-94 corridor. This is between areas just south and east of Fergus Falls and north of Elizabeth. If you happen to be passengering in a vehicle, not driving a vehicle and watching this, but if you're listening to this broadcast, if you know somebody traveling in this stretch of road, you might want to let them know, stop outside the warned area. We're going to have a wind coming exactly perpendicular to vehicles driving along the roads. So some big time gusts will be out there, and tipped vehicles not out of the realm of possibility on the interstate as this blows right across in a fashion that's perpendicular to the travel of our travelers out there. So again, get out of tents and RVs and campers. Now is the time in Lakes Country to seek shelter. The warning is continuing for the Wahpeton area near Fairmount. That's where we did get a gust report out there. But you can see that the strongest of the winds is now moving through your area and out. We still have stout wind potential on the backside, upwards of 60 miles per hour though. And then as we go out towards Hankinson, things are really quieting down. So the I-29 corridor and west, the wind potential is a lot better on that side of the storm. Let's go ahead and see if there's any shear or spin on this side of the storm here real quickly. Okay, and we have motion away from the Mayville radar and towards, but it's not particularly strong. So not necessarily that's part of the storm is exiting, and this warning is, in fact, the main bulb of the storm or blotch of the storm is now exiting most of North Dakota and all of South Dakota, and even down here in this Traverse County area, Big Stone County, things are looking a little bit quieter now as we go through. I did have a question about what happened down in South Dakota down here today, and the honest answer is I don't know for sure right now, and it takes some research to find out what exactly the reports are from the area, but I can do it. Let me see if I can turn some on here. So bear with me. This storm marched all the way across South Dakota in the overnight hours, and sometimes we don't find out what kind of damage was done until we do some after storm, the daylight comes out and we can see. So some of the damage we won't want to know. Sirens going in Fargo. Kirk from Fargo says sirens are going in Fargo. I'm not certain. Let's see, it's not Wednesday. So we do have a little sliver of a warning up here in the Arrowhead of Minnesota as well. So we'll go ahead and cover that here on Hutch's Weather. I have viewers up in that area as well. Sirens going in Fargo. I'm in Moorhead. I do not hear them. We do have, let's go ahead and turn this on to the radar data here. We have garden variety rain showers moving through Fargo right now. As I look at our wind gusts reported in and around Fargo, this should populate with some numbers here. Anywhere that's getting gusts. Right now, behind the storm in Gwinner, we have 53 mile per hour gusts in Gwinner, and the main meat and potatoes of that storm didn't even move through your neck of the woods. So that's outflow from this storm, a 53 mile per hour gust measured in Gwinner. As the storms are moving through. That's a very healthy gust. Measurement right now of the latest one, as long as that's an accurate gust measurement, in Wahpeton Breckenridge is 32 miles per hour. So not sure what's going on. No sirens in Fargo. No sirens in Fargo. Okay, thank you. Okay. Sirens going in Fergus Falls. Fires. Okay, yeah, that's good. This is a very windy storm. The city wants people outdoors to know this storm means business as it moves towards your area. So a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes I can either read something wrong too, because I'm looking at a lot of different sources here. Kirk, that was the sound of, at any rate, let's go here and take a look at the storm moving into Fergus Falls. This has a backward C shape, sirens going off, big time hail core. It's pulsing back up. You notice from the last scan to this scan, the storm now has more blue flashy on it. This is called a high reflectivity, and that is an area where the hail core is building back up. Now, the radar beam at this distance from Mayville is pretty high in the sky. I'll tell you exactly how high. Over Fergus Falls, it is 10,500 feet. We're talking close to 2 miles here up in the air. So we're seeing hail, high DBZs, high reflectivities that are lofted up 2 miles high into the sky, and it's picking up pretty high reflectivities there as we take a look. So that storm right there, is getting hailstones lofted up high. So what we're looking at when you look at a radar and you see, oh, it looks like it's hailing here, but it's not outside. What's going on is the radar is picking up hailstones up in the sky 2 miles high. And what that means to meteorologists is somewhere downwind of that, those hailstones are likely going to comply with gravity and start falling their way back down to the surface of the earth once they overcome the strength of the updraft. It is now crossing I-94, including Fergus Falls. So a hail core moving out. This backward C shape tells Hutch we got some serious wind gusts out. This area right here where there's a notch taken out, the outflow comes out from the hail core here, and we have inflow into the storm here. There could probably be some spin there. It doesn't look like a classic hook echo, but that's one area I would be worried about for some spin. Storm relative velocity does confirm that here on the outside of the area of Earhart. There is some broad, distant, over a broad area. We got some inflow shear over on this side, and same thing on the leading edge right here near Elizabeth. So those areas do have some spin showing up on the radar. Otherwise, this is all outflow coming back down. This is called a rear flank downdraft from this part of the storm, but we do have an inflow notch in here, and that is an area of concern near Elizabeth right now. So that's what we have going on. Yes, please take shelter in that interior Fergus Falls battle lake. If you happen to be outdoors now and you're out here camping at Green Lake out there in beautiful, beautiful Maplewood State Park, we want to make sure that you guys are getting out of your campers and getting into safe places. This is a core of wind. You are in the warning here. You're going to be on the north side. You can still get some pretty nasty gusts with this storm system as it moves through. You want to watch out for big trees that might be felled by the storms. Pine trees, certain types of pine trees can really be susceptible without that big deep taproot out there. So, don't take shelter in your RV right around a grove of trees. Not the best thing. If you are in Lakes Country, Battle Lake, East Battle Lake, West Battle Lake, this area here, you got a very windy line of thunderstorms coming to town, but look at where this is, Underwood, and it's going right for the west edge of Ottertail Lake right now. So this is very gusty wind. There is shear on the front end of this system as it's working its way off to the east. So let's go ahead and now take a front row seat. It's been a little while since we've done this, and take a look. Minnesota Department of Transportation cameras will give us maybe an idea. And if you want to help Hutch cover weather, you can also offer up your photos of the storm, video clips that are short of the storm, and upload them to my website at hutchesweather.com, or upload them directly from your app, and I will share them with other folks. I'm looking here at a couple that I've got, and I'll share them with you right now as soon as I can, I should say. And let me just make sure that those are couple of updates from us, and this is big tree down reported near Lidgerwood. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to those. We'll go to those because I know I have data to tell you about. And again, what I'm doing is I'm going to my photo upload section of my website. This is what you'll see. You'll be able to peruse through all of them. These were the storms I was covering very early this morning up in the Rolla area. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning in the Devil's Lake Basin as those storms made their way all the way out of Lake Sakakawea. And there we got a view of a cloud at McDowell Dam, south of McDowell Dam. That's a beauty. That is not a huge towering cloud, but here's a look at a tree that's down. And let's get the details on this one. Thanks so much for uploading your photos. Pretty big tree snapped halfway up with gusty winds from the storm. This is near Lidgerwood in Richland County. This is Katy. This was from Monday morning at 9 a.m. So some tree damage to report to the National Weather Service in Lidgerwood. What I do, if I can, and I do have time to do so, I'm going to type this out, so bear with me. I got to pass this along to the Weather Service. So we got some tree damage in Lidgerwood. The more information you give me, the better off. It says at 9 a.m., so I'll pass that along to the National Weather Service in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Pardon me while I get my eyeballs to adjust. There we go. Okay. the National Weather Service, it's real important for me to pass the information along to them as I can, because that way they know that the storm is causing damage, that they're making warnings for, that the warnings are verifying. All of that stuff is important. So again, if you have photos when it's safe to do so, I do not want you standing outside in front of this beast that's making its way into the area and taking 80-mile-per-hour gust in the teeth. Here's a look at that beautiful cloud out there. Now this is what you would call a higher base cloud out there, and it's trying to grow and leaning back into the upper level winds. So the winds are coming from the south. This is from McDowell Dam out there, out to the east on Sunday. So a nice shot out there by Brian that made its way through the area here. So thank you very much for doing that. That's out in and around the Bismarck area. So thank you very much for your sharing of images out here. Look at this. Rolla last night was just on fire in the sky with the lightning just flashing. Look at this forked piece of beauty up there. Again, very heavy rain, tornado warning, middle of dark time up in that area overnight last night. I was up covering that, and then was watching the storm and then dozed off. Got a little rest because I knew it could be a pretty busy day. Thank you for staying up last night. So muggy out. Indeed, Jim, thank you very much. Pouring rain. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're caught up here, I think. So green, windy, thunder in Fergus Falls. So if it's green outside, that's these monster big time thunderstorms like this can sometimes take on a greenish hue. There is some argument in meteorology as to exactly what causes that. Is it hail? Is it? But the reflection of the green ground off some of the ice in the sky is one of the explanations of that. That could be. We're looking at storm relative velocities. We do have quite a bit of shear showing up on the leading edge here by the Battle Lake area. This big inflow area here where there's this notch cut out of the storm is another example. And let's see what this Fergus Falls is. That looks like some big time wind going on there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the estimates of what that means. So this means we've got some outgoing wind here, outgoing wind away from the radar beam. But I'm going to tell you what. These winds are moving this way, exactly perpendicular to the radar beam. We're not going to get very good measurements of wind speed from the radar. What we have to do is use other calculations to calculate the angle the winds are making with the radar and do a lot of math and stuff. And the algorithm that does that is Hutch's wind gust burp estimator here. And this is where we have the strongest wind potential right now. Fergus Falls and points east, all the way from the Foxholm area out towards Earhart here. This leading edge of the lighter orange color is where the wind gusts are upwards of 70 miles per hour crossing the interstate. So all the way from Rothsay straight down to Fergus Falls, and then moving on to Highway 210 as you're heading out here toward the Battle Lake area and on towards Deer Creek and Wadena. There's some stout winds that are coming along that corridor right now. So the calculations are for 60-mile-per-hour winds to 70-plus-mile-per-hour gust potential from these storms. It is moving over Lakes Country. The strongest winds are heading right towards Otter Tail City on the other side of Otter Tail Lake. It's getting closer to that now. As we speak. There is Otter Tail Lake. We can see it now right here. So the gusts are pushing into the western side. Underwood, you're in the path of the very gusty winds right now, as well as areas. Now, not everybody is going to get the 70-mile-per-hour winds. They tend to happen where we get the storm collapsing and where that rain and hail shaft is heaviest in that little area. Boom, out comes a burp, and there you go, just north of Underwood. Let's see what the gust estimator is saying now about this. So still upwards of 70-mile-per-hour potential from the gusts as they hit the atmosphere, the lower atmosphere here. We could see 70-mile-per-hour gusts working its way right under the west edge of Otter Tail Lake in minutes. This is moving at 55 miles per hour. And here is a look at how far it is away, the gust potential that is, from the Otter Tail Lake area on the west side. So here you go. Oops, I'm looking towards Battle Lake. Sorry. You got it coming too. So let's go ahead and start over here. There we go. So this is only 3 miles away, moving at 55 miles per hour. You're talking 3 minutes away or less for the gusts to start pushing onto Otter Tail Lake. So that is on its way. We do have some gusts heading in the general direction of you folks in Battle Lake, East and West Battle Lake, Clitheroe, Battle Lake, all of the communities in and around Otter Tail Lake, seeing some strong gusts and gust potential with the storm. Now, as we move up to the north, we do have Dent and our Star Lake friends and all of the Highway 108 corridor here. You got Park Rapids, the gusty winds moving in towards Earhart and heading in towards the Maplewood State Park area. So this will be pushing up to the Highway 10 corridor here in moments. So that's what we have going on right now. Gusty straight line winds. We have a measurement of the wind at 62 miles per hour. That was at 10:03, and that was in the Foxhome area. So that's what's going on right now with the storm. There's a storm forming in and around Detroit Lakes, it looks like, that has some wind gust potential as well. So even outside the warned area, we're getting a couple of cells starting to form, probably from the outflow of this storm as it's working its way across the region. So we have some boundaries coming up here. And yeah, this storm here is a growing storm. We're not seeing the same hail core with it, but it's certainly a storm to be watched. And now we're getting closer to the time where the heating of the day can start actually developing a few of these along the warm front. So this may indeed be a good idea, a good sign as to where the location of the warm front is. If we take a look at some temperature data here, we can kind of analyze that as well. Our storm warning, by the way, just so you're clear, until 11 o'clock in the morning here. The warning continues for most of Otter Tail County, all the way down to the county line here with Grant County. In northern Grant County, you are in the warning Elbow Lake and on points north. Gusty winds heading into your area. And then as we get out toward Douglas County, no warning for you yet. This looks like it's moving northeast. So if anything, we might get some impact in the northwestern corner of the Douglas County area with this big beast of a storm. I measured the size of the storm a little bit earlier. We're talking about hail potential to about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, 60-mile winds. I can take a look now, since that warning was issued just a little while ago, at my hail estimator here and see if the hail cores have gone up, because I did see some pretty bright hail markers. I think we do have pretty good size hail. So as we look in towards the Otter Tail Lake area here in points north now, the hail core is impacting areas north of Fergus Falls. And this hail core size estimate, this isn't exactly where the hail is now. It's just calculating upwards of 2-inch diameter hail. So I do believe the penny-sized hail, 3/4-inch hail, is now no longer the case. This thing did beef up. It did pick up some energy. We have bigger hail potential now north of Highway 210 as you go north of Underwood. So hail potential that developed over Fergus Falls. That's where we saw the flashy blue and white on the radar screen. And we got some big time hail. So a hail core heading here. It is on the northern edge of the Otter Tail Lake chain as you go up the Otter Tail River. And we do have that opportunity, or that threat, I should say, of this hail core moving right into the Maplewood Lake State Park area. So please keep that in mind if you happen to be out there camping and you happen to be out and about. The big hail, this can also, as it collapses, create that gust of wind at the surface. So very gusty winds heading in towards Maplewood State Park and this entire area of the Highway 108 corridor between Pelican Rapids and Dent. Pelican Rapids, you're in the first warning over here, but not in this hail core area here. You could still see very strong winds in your area. See, if you do have a report to share with Hutch, because my comments are flying by so very, very fast, it might be helpful if you pass them along in a photo from your phone of the clouds or whatever, and I'll share that with everybody. That might be a great idea. Webster, South Dakota confirmed a tornado. Thank you for your report out there very much. Wind is switching again, 4 miles south of Fergus Falls, now northeast. Again, gusty. Thank you very much. So yes, as this storm blows through, Or think of this, if this hail core north of town is collapsing down and hitting the ground, then the outflow from that is going to gust back in this direction, okay? So yeah, you might have had some southwest winds first, and now this hail core is collapsing to the north of you, and you're getting a burp from the northeast. That makes total sense with what we're seeing here. I think we have a big hail core that's collapsing. Right there's the latest estimates, and I do think the hail core estimate size is bigger than pennies that we could be seeing on the ground. So that's what we got going on. Thanks for helping answer questions there. I'm doing my best to get to them here. What about the rain showers near Park Rapids and Hubbard? If it's rain showering now in Park Rapids and Hubbard County, we can go ahead and take a look up there and show you what's going on. But the hail core moving right into Maplewood Lake State Park area here outside of the Pelican Rapids area. So as we go in right down close, you can kind of see the area of concern. I do have another radar product here that I can share with you guys as well. Let me switch this over. This shows that we do have the warnings in effect. Let me get that up there. This is another good one. I've got model data on here right now, so I'll just highlight it as such. But this was the earlier forecast model. And now you got the severe thunderstorm watch. You got the severe thunderstorm warning here in Fergus Falls and Otter Tail. We do have some thunderstorm watch activity all the way up into the Boundary Waters area up here as we go through the day. The other colors you see here, which does include the FM area, this is a heat advisory in the Red River Valley and the I-29 corridor of South Dakota into western Minnesota. This is an excessive heat warning. Heat indices, the sticky air you can wear, going to be a danger to those. Check on elderly neighbors. Cool off any way you can. If you are outside working today in Minnesota, this high dew point air, the high humidity air, will have heat indexes this afternoon that reach triple digits, so you can become dehydrated. Drink lots and lots of this water, because your body perspires trying to cool off. The problem is the perspiration does not evaporate like it does in a dry climate, so you don't cool off by perspiration, so you keep sweating and sweating. If you get dizzy or lightheaded in this heat that will be out there today, please keep in mind that it's a very, very good idea to cool off as fast as you can. Seek shade. It can be 15 degrees cooler in the shade. When it comes to the body heating up, your core temperature starts rising. Once your core temperature hits, say, 103, 104, organs start shutting down and it becomes extremely dangerous. You get lightheaded, listen to your body, cool off. I don't care if you go run through a sprinkler, cool off fast is what medical professionals tell us in heat situations. If somebody might be suffering from heat exhaustion where they're sweating, they're dizzy, they're just not feeling well, maybe even some nausea in there, get cooled off fast. Take a cool shower, cool the body's temperature down fast. And then also we want to let you know that if you start getting confused, someone becomes unconscious and their temperature's up around 103, 104, the body starts shutting down. So you need to cool them off fast. They put them on ice. So anything you can do to cool off the core temperature, cold packs in the armpits, put them in cold water. So keep in mind, this is really, really dangerous stuff, this heat that's making its way through. And if you're working outside, we want you to stay hydrated and stay safe and listen to your body. Okay, I was going to show you on this particular, I'm going to switch over to the radar here real quickly. There we go. All right, so we're going to get into the radar on this particular map. I like this product. This is called Radar Omega. For those of you watching, if you're interested, you can download it. That there is a fee for the service, but I think it's worth it to keep yourself safe and knowing how to read radar. If you're a fan of that, you can definitely take part in that. Let me take a look here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we've got the radar site 1033. This is a look at the velocities within the storm. Let's go ahead and switch this over to the regular radar data. I do think we got a new warning update coming very, very soon. I heard my phone go off. It is winding down in Fergus. I agree. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. This storm in Aberdeen looks bad. What way is it tracking, please? We'll get to you, Ty. Thank you very much. So you're seeing another one in Aberdeen on the backside of the storm. Here's the reflectivity data. Okay, so we've got And this storm here, some of these cells are collapsing out. We've got a big time hail core right here. You're looking at the Richville area. You're looking at Amor, all these areas having it moving in towards Otter Tail Lake. It's over Otter Tail Lake now. Gusty straight line winds. Right here, you got a Boeing line segment pushing its way over the lake. As we zoom in just a little bit closer, we can start to see the Highway 108 corridor. Here is Maplewood State Park. So we've got the hail core moving right over you and points south. So Maplewood Lake State Park is right there heading towards Star Lake. You can see right there. And I can't read that, but I think it's Isabel. So these lakes areas right now getting hit pretty hard with a hail core moving overhead, abundant, copious amounts of lightning. Lake Lida is on the north end. That's the south arm of Lake Lida right there, it says. So these are our lakes that are in the path of the storm. There is Dead Lake, and you're right under the hail core right now. So Lakes Country, that's where you are, and that's what's going on. Somebody was just asking about the Aberdeen area. I'll go back real quickly and show you there are some showers there. I'm not seeing anything severe. It might be a developing storm. I can look at a satellite view, but this is a look from another radar product that I use here. We do have some thunderstorms as well out in the Bismarck area here that are starting to form, moving off to the north. These cells here are not severe and don't look to be so. Somebody was asking a little bit earlier about what's going on in northern Minnesota. Dense fog advisory on that side of the state near Duluth. Pardon me, and storms moving out along the North Shore right now, Silver Bay, two harbors. And there was a teensy little severe thunderstorm warning from one of these cells just a bit ago here that's now moving out over the big lake. So we do have one here, Finland, as you go up the highway corridor here, Tofty, as well as Grand Marais, seeing these storms. They're moving in the arrows direction of those arrows to the north and east. So strong thunderstorm activity there on the North Shore, on the South Shore, and our friends on the Apostle Islands here out in Wisconsin, beautiful Bayfield right here. These storms are moving through the Apostle Island chain out here with a strong thunderstorm right here that's just offshore here and heading right over the islands right now. So strong thunderstorms in and around that area. I think we got an update here from the National Weather Service, so I'm going to get back to my other radar hail tracker here. I do see that the hail core size estimate does look like it's down a little bit. So let's go through the analysis and questions and answers here on Hutch's Weather. Thanks for joining me. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We have a new warning to go over. Here is a kidney bean shape. You're looking at the hail tracker. This is helping us track where the hail is most likely with this cell and what the size might be. Down from 2 inches to 1.5 inches. We're looking at it moving in towards Dent, Star Lake, and areas south of Dent and the Pelican Rapids Highway 108 corridor right now, north of Fergus Falls and north of Battle Lake. Otter Tail Lake, you still have some hail potential there. That must look interesting on the big lake from outside your windows, but big time wind will be a significant threat and risk from this storm. A couple of areas of concern with this. This is the hail core. Now we're going to switch this over, if I can, to the burp of wind estimator. This whole line here producing the potential for some strong wind. The orange colors, that's very strong wind potential. And the yellow areas or I guess lighter orange areas here, those are where we have even stronger wind potential. What does it mean, Hutch? Here we got gusts upwards of 70 mile per hour potential from the storm on this area moving in towards Perham right now in the Highway 10 corridor. So Otter Tail to Perham and anywhere along the Fergus to Perham stretch on Highway 10, we'll see a potential for some very strong gusts. What's moving over Otter Tail Lake right now? This is estimating gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. That's a big lake. No trees to stop it, so we could possibly have problems on the lake. If you do have damage, please report it. It's important to pass that information along the Weather Service office and local authorities. Also, down to the south near Battle Lake, we have some intense winds that could be making its way across east and west Battle Lake, upwards of 60 to 65 mile per hour in spots. And this is moving onto the west shore of the big lake. Here's the cutout of the lake here. That is Otter Tail Lake in Otter Tail County in Minnesota. So that is what's going on here. Now let's take a look at what the Weather Service says is going on with this warning for Monaga, Sabika, Wadena. Now Wadena County, parts of extreme southeastern Becker County right here south of Wolf Lake. So if you're in Frazee, you got this huge hail core here and it's working its way just to the south of you. You're going to be shaved by this hail core, okay? And And again, it's crossing over the Highway 108 corridor here, and it's going to pass up towards New York Mills, now approaching the Highway 10 corridor from Frazee to New York Mills soon. Deer Creek, Wadena, you are in the path of this storm as well. And the storm movement is to the northeast. It's been at about 55 miles per hour. And right now it says tornado possible. The entire time this storm has had tornado possible tag. There is spin in it, and in any one location it's going to be capable of producing that. I'm trying to identify those areas as we go through the analysis from time to time here. 1.5 inch diameter hail, 60 mile per hour winds, and it's moving north. It says it's moving east at 67 miles per hour. So I want to double check that. That's very fast. That's faster than a lot of us drive on some of these old country roads. What I am going to do is turn on some of the internal cells that the radar locks onto. It'll take it a minute to populate. This huge 50+ mile swath of thunderstorm activity has a rotating center right here. We have 1 inch hail core right here. And each of these areas is moving at a little bit different speed. So keep in mind, there are some areas that are accelerating, and 67 miles per hour would indicate that this storm is really starting to accelerate a bit as we go through. So here, let's go ahead and time this out for our communities. That's the next step in Hutch's process here, and let people know in the path of the storm when it will be and where. I'm going to do the north part first. Moving east-northeast, I will follow the guidelines of around a 60 to 65 mile per hour speed of motion, although that seems pretty high. New York Mills, 10:48, it will be near you. Please seek shelter, gusty wind, and larger hail on the hail core. This is what I'm tracking now is the blue flashing hail core and where it's moving. Bluffton, 10:54 near you, so you got 10 minutes to put the car in the garage. With the gusty winds that will also accompany this hail core here. We heard from Fergus Falls that the winds rapidly shift from southwest to northeasterly. So as the hail core moves over you and collapses, we can get different directions of winds. So bring the lawn furniture in, batten down the hatches, and get ready for this storm. Sabika, 11 o'clock, Monaga, 11:06. Nimrod, central parts of Wadena County here, you're looking at about 11:12. Bacchus as well as Pine River in the 11:30 time frame. I'll keep you posted on the outside of the warned area there as that storm moves off to the east. Now let's track this southern side of the storm here with the burp of wind that'll be coming out of that over Ottertail Lake now. It's right over the lake, and heading onto the eastern shores of the lake is this hail core. So we're going to track this and go boom, shakalaka, moving east 65 miles per hour, getting all kinds of notices coming in here on the cellular device. Henning, 10:44, Parker's Prairie, 10:48, Wadena, 11 o'clock, Staples. My folks' old hometown, 11:14, East Gull Lake, 11:34, on towards Baxter and the Brainerd area here. So Hutch went to high school out there for a while, 11:36. Pequot Lakes, 11:39, and Nisswa up there north of the Brainerd area. If you happen to be camping in the Brainerd Lakes area, now is the time to start thinking. You do have almost an hour of time to prepare for this storm. Now is the time to start thinking in the Brainerd Lakes area, as well as you folks in the Staples Motley area, anywhere in the Lakes Country area here in Wadena County, as well as eastern Ottertail County. You need to think of where you would go if these winds start hitting 60 and 70 miles per hour. You do not want to be in an RV under some big trees. We just don't want that. I want you to get out, know where there is sturdy structure. You're looking for something that's attached to its foundation. Some of our camping sites and some of our lakes areas do have shower houses and such at some of the state parks, so keep that in mind. But you need to know where those places are now, and then again to prepare folks for what's coming later today. We have developing thunderstorms up here near Walker. This is Park Rapids in Hubbard County, Becker County, a couple of cells starting to fire off. This is along the warm front here. This storm has now 2 mesocyclone signatures on it. Those are rotating thunderstorms. These spinny things don't mean a tornado's necessarily on the ground, but now the next step in the process is to analyze here the velocities inside the cloud. This is a long ways from any radar, So it's very difficult to see what's happening at the bottom of the cloud. We can't see it. The radar beam crossing across these storms is up over 2 miles high in the atmosphere, 12,000 feet over Otter Tail Lake. That is way up there in the sky. Okay, so when we see hail cores reach 2 miles up, we know that it's a pretty good strong updraft to make strong hail cores up that high and higher. Okay, so we do have that hail threat moving in on the northern side. And this is just too muddled to really get a lot of good data out of. We do have some greens moving towards the radar, 2 miles up, by the way. That means we have shear or spin in this storm right here over the Otter Tail area and the 108 corridor here going north-south, south of Perham. That is some spin, but it's way high up. Where is it at the ground? We don't know. That's why we need your eyeballs. That's why we need your reports. And I appreciate everybody taking the time to keep us up to date with the latest on that. We're going to go over some pictures here because I've got a whole plethora of them, and I want to thank everybody for being a part of Hutch's Weather. You are a part of the broadcast here. You're uploading them to my website at hutchesweather.com, and we're going to go to that site right now. Thank you very much. And again, if you're in the path of this monster storm here, it's a 50-mile cluster of thunderstorms called a mesoscale convective system, and it's making its way into Otter Tail County. This cluster of thunderstorms has a history of tornadoes earlier in South Dakota. We haven't seen one for a while, or at least a report of anything for a while. That's the good news. Big time hail, 1.5 inch hail has been reported at times. As the heat of the day increases, there's potential this storm may get a little more energy as it moves to the north and east. So we'll be tracking this one for hours. This one started in southern parts of South Dakota last night. So this is a long-lived storm, unbelievable so. Now, as we take a look at your photos, you can go to my website or you can upload them directly from my brand new weather app. Please search Hutch's Weather in your app store today. It's the only app in the area with exclusive twisting storm alerts. So if there is a twisting storm like this bad boy here, and it's consistent, strong rotation, I don't send notifications out for every twist in every storm because there's a lot of weak twists out there. And sometimes even a weak twist leads to a tornado, but well, you'll get an early alert from this and letting you know, sometimes even before a warning is issued. Now, these are where you can go, hutchesweather.com, and you can go to the photo upload section on the top menu or scroll down. You'll see a bigger place where you can upload your photos here. Thank you much. Now, this is west of Lidgerwood as the storm was moving through. Let's take a peek at some of your photos. Again, I really do appreciate we got the tree down. This was in Lidgerwood moments ago as the storm made its way through. Thanks, Katie. I'm really sorry for the cleanup there. I hope nothing hit the house. I hope everybody's okay. Thanks for sharing your report. Here's a look at the cute picture of clouds. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Nathan. This is hail. You can see these white streaks making its way down. My backyard drain ditch flooding out there. Okay, so look at that. Right in the backyard. This is right in Fergus Falls. And I got to pronounce this name right here. Pardon me while I look. It looks like Kayla. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Kayla Lee. Thank you much, Fergus Falls. So the drainage ditch moving through, and it looks like hailstones. Maybe it's just raindrops, but I think there's some white showing up in the lawn out there as well. So big time gully washer of a storm working its way through. It looks like I've also got, pardon me, a video to share. So, oh, we've got more storm photos. Thank you, everybody. This is amazing. We got a video clip here. I'm not going to put the audio on, I don't believe. So let me go ahead and approve it first. Okay, and now let's go ahead and select it. So now let's go ahead. We got a video that's showing up here. There it is. Whoop, this looks like, oh, that was a light show in Medina the other night. I'm going to have to reload my page here because I'm approving them at the same time. This is not from this storm. This was Goodrich. This was a few days ago, courtesy of Merced. Thank you very much. Photo upload section. Now we got more. Okay, so now let's go and take a look at this one. This one looks like a low-hanging thing of interest, okay? This looks like a funnel cloud. This is a huge funnel, Fergus Falls by Alan. Thank you, Alan, very much. That was at 10 a.m. I need to pass this along to the Weather Service here. So that is something that's very important. And please tag a friend in this broadcast. So if people are watching, I'm going to hit this, at followers. Bear with me while I do some work. This is a huge funnel cloud. This is a storm as it moved through. Fergus Falls. Okay, so please tag a friend and let them know that Hutch is doing the coverage there. You can see this. I would like to know exactly where and the exact timestamp. It says at 10 a.m., but that is, you can actually see the picture of the rotation. There's some scary looking clouds over on this side too. I call them SLCs. Thank you very, very much for the photo upload there. There's no name attached. Alan. Alan is the name. Thank you for sharing that. I am going to take right now time to pass this along to the National Weather Service office. So please pardon my wandering eyes, but I need them to know that we've got a funnel cloud picture over Fergus Falls. And then I'll put I'm going to put at about 10 o'clock. And I'll share the photo with them here too. So bear with me. I do like to make sure the National Weather Service knows what's going on. And thank you for reporting this to Hutch's Weather. I apologize for interrupting. Here's another one. Moorhead. Mean clouds in and around Moorhead are developing now. We got this low cloud base here. So think of this. When we have temperatures and dew points that are close together. Thanks, Dee, for sharing this photo. That means the air doesn't have to lift too far before we start forming a cloud. And that means any funnels that do form in the rotation in the atmosphere don't have as far to reach down to the ground. That's why down in the south of the United States, where they have more common dew points in the 70s, we have more incidents of tornadoes because the humid air is there. Look at this detached cloud. This is detached from the thunderstorm cloud. Great example of what I would call a roll cloud here. It does have a long tail-like effect, but when these storms burp out rain and wind, that wind pushes along like a little cold front. It's rain-cooled air, and that cold front is pushing into this picture here, and it's lifting the air out ahead of it, and it's creating this cloud. Sometimes those clouds roll in, and they literally do this, and you can see them. You're wondering, what's going on here? This don't seem right. This is west of Lidgerwood. Thank you, Marge, for sharing this photo today. I do appreciate that very much. Here we do have a report here. Let's see, this looks like that. There's that drainage coming through the yard again out there. Kayla Lee, shortly after the downpour stopped. Thank you much. Did you get any hail from these storms? That's another thing. Here we got another look at a video clip. This is Fergus Falls from Shannon, Sheridan Street as a storm moved through. Let's watch together. Okay, big time gusts of wind, some heavy rain. I did get the picture of the funnel cloud. We don't know, I didn't get confirmation whether or not it touched down, but you can see these young saplings out here kind of bending over in the wind, and so some big time wind. Again, this is a good example of not every location in a town is going to get the strongest of the wind gusts. 60-mile-per-hour gusts would be bowing the trees down sideways here and likely snapping branches off. So in this example, we got one coming down, but in this part of Fergus Falls, at least when this video was shot, not necessarily the straight line wind strength that could be seen in other isolated areas of the storm. So keep that in mind as you're going through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank all of you enough for being part of Hutch's Weather and helping us cover what's making its way through the region right now. Here is a look at the latest warnings. I'm going to have to sneak back and take a look here at the radar. Okay, so now we got the hail core between Otter Tail. This is going to be on the east edge of Otter Tail Lake, north towards Perham right now in the Highway 10 corridor here. So Highway 10, the hail core is moving over you. Right now, the hail threat is right here on the northern side of the warning. Down here, this is the wind threat. We did have a funnel cloud sighted right over Fergus Falls. I will try to, let's see, the Weather Service is asking a question here. Yes, it is available to view. Bear with me. They're asking me to get them the video or the picture. I'm going to do that for my friends at the National Weather Service forecast office here. So let me see. Cancel. Go to my website. Okay. I have to stop and get into a different thought process here to make sure I can get to the photo they need to see. Okay, so we stopped the broadcast to pass this information along. Definitely a healthy looking funnel out there. Thoughts on Emmaville, just north of Park Rapids? Yeah, we know Emmaville. My kids have been there. We're talking Camp Wilderness, baby. We got to keep everybody informed up there, so we will do so. This particular storm is going to stay south, but we do have some development just over your area here. So as you go out between Park Rapids and Nevis, you go north, here's Camp Wilderness area, moving in towards Walker. There is a little thunderstorm cell forming up here. We have a lot of little cells forming through Becker County. We're talking about you folks out here in the Height of Land Lakes area and the Highway 34 corridor, north and east of that Detroit Lakes to Park Rapids area, and east of White Earth out here as we go into southern Clearwater County. These are just developing right now. They are not producing huge time hail, it does not look like. And their gusty wind potential, I will tell you, is there, because as these updrafts form and collapse, we could have some gusty winds. They are not severe. You can see the latest scan come in, and that storm built up and now has collapsed. It became smaller in scope a little bit. The reflectivities just went down in the latest scan. So that storm is not severe. I wouldn't be surprised if outside of LaPorte here, as you're going in toward the area, we do have a small area of isolated hail, but that's going to be smaller hail and likely quarter-inch diameter or smaller. So not big hail there. Here's a look at Detroit Lakes, and looking up into the Highway 34 corridor, you see right here, Height of Land Lake. You're going on. This is a absolutely stunningly gorgeous drive. This one is a little bit more robust. There is a little bit of a hail core with it just off to the northeast of Detroit Lakes. I'm going to give you a linear distance from Detroit Mountain on the east side of Detroit Lakes. Beautiful Detroit Mountain, 17.7 miles. We got a hail core out there to the northeast of Detroit Lakes right now. So that's what's going on with that particular cell. It is increasing in strength. Let's see if my hail core estimator can estimate the size of that. There we go. And let's see if it's even given us an estimate down south here. Sometimes the tools in my toolbox like to take a break, and I apologize for that. So I've talked to the developer about this on this radar product here. It's a nice one. Here is from a different radar site. We are going to estimate that there could be some hail in this area here in Becker County that's a 1/2 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch. What reaches the ground, we'll see. A lot of it can melt in size from up 2 miles high in the atmosphere and as it falls down. Look at this ridiculous nonsense. This is an estimate of, I haven't seen this color today, 3.5 inch hail. Folks, the hail potential for this storm just went way up. So pass the word along. Just outside of the Otter Tail area, big time hail core reflectivity. Richville out towards New York Mills, right between Perham and New York Mills. This updraft strength has really increased. Remember me saying that as it gets heated in the day, we can tap into even more energy in the atmosphere. And this is a big time hail core just outside of Otter Tail, the town of Otter Tail. This is on the east edge, the east-northeast edge of Otter Tail Lake. Huge hail core. This does not mean this is what's hitting the ground right now, but this is the calculation of the biggest hailstones possible with the storm. When I look at what the chances are of severe hail is 1 inch in diameter. Check this out. How much chance is there of hail? Greater than 100% chance that we're getting over 1 inch hail moving right over the lake here northeast of Otter Tail Lake. So keep that in mind as we're taking a look at that particular area, 108, just east of 108. Now, it doesn't mean it's reaching the ground right now at this spot. The radar is calculating the hail size that might be hitting the ground greater than 3 inches and a greater than 100% chance of severe hail in that area. So in this area of Otter Tail County on the map, just to the south and to the east of Highway 10 moving to Perham, between Otter Tail and Perham on 108, that is a huge hail core that is working its way through. 3+ inch diameter hail out there. Okay, I will ask the question here for you. Thank you very much, Amanda. So the Weather Service wants more information. I'm going to ask this of my viewer who uploaded that photo there. Thank you so much. Strange rotation a couple miles southwest of Horace. It's small but weird. Thank you for your report. I appreciate that. The Horus area, there are going to be some clouds developing today. There's a lot of spin in the atmosphere today. Doesn't mean that that's going to produce a tornado. It's not likely at this particular time. This monster storm here, though, big time problem. I'm going to email the person and request a full report from them and get that to you. So I will request broadcasting live now. Okay, so I will request that information, so bear with me, please. But if you are the one who uploaded the photo to the site, I'm going to call you out right now, but I do appreciate that the upload of the photo, he re-uploaded and said it went up right away. Okay. Okay, so the funnel cloud went up right away. Let's see. For clarification, the funnel cloud, this photo went up around 5 to 10 seconds later after he saw it. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much for that. And I will go ahead and still bear with me. Thank you very much. We have a huge hail core and very gusty winds. Now, when we get 3.5-inch diameter hail, when those hail balls come down, not only will they do just terrible damage to vehicles, terrible damage to properties, terrible damage to campers on the lakes area here. As it crosses Highway 10, it's going to cause terrible damage there. Do not park underneath an overpass. There is a tornado possible with this cell as well, particularly when we get strong updrafts capable of producing 3 to 4-inch diameter hail. There is a lot of updraft strength going on with this storm. So please heed the warnings. Get inside, stay away from windows and interior room, and I would go down to the basement. That is a mean storm out there heading in towards north of Wadena. Here's Bluffton, and that's going to be heading up towards Wadena County, north of Wadena. That is a huge hail core. And bear with me now while I go ahead and fashion a quick email to the National Weather Service forecast office. So, or actually to So that was a brief funnel. It didn't last that long. That's good to know. Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks for letting me take a break to request information from the photo uploader. I'm getting a lot of photo uploads here now, so I do appreciate all of them. I'll try to go through that. Let me go back into some more storm analysis here for everybody on board. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast today, everybody, for uploading. We have some new warnings on the south side of the storm here, and a new warning out towards Brainerd Lakes area, Cass County, Cat Cross Lake, Pine River, Emily for this storm. Huge hail potential with this storm right now, and it's looking to be well over 2 inches in diameter. I would not be surprised to see some 3-inch hail reports from it in isolated places, not everywhere. The hail size, max hail size reaching the ground, the Weather Service says, has gone up from pennies to now double that to 1.5 inches and 60-mile-per-hour gusts. Possible from the storm is a tornado and those 60-mile-per-hour gusts. So that's what's going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the new warning for our viewers out here off to the east of Wadena. Staples, you're in this warning. This storm moving off to the east, it says 67 miles per hour. We're talking about a movement to the east, 67 miles per hour. So let's track this hail core, shall we? Now, hail cores collapse and they cycle and they go through a life cycle too, just like everything else. So it may not be hail everywhere that gets in. In fact, it won't be hail everywhere. So keep that in mind. Whoopsies. All right, so now here's our hail core moving east. We're talking 65 miles per hour or so. Wadena by 11:11. It will be in your area and points north of Wadena. Sabika 11:15, Verndale 11:17, Pine River 11:45, and Lake Shore 11:45. So that's in the next 40 minutes or so. It's out towards Lake Shore. If the hail core lasts that long, Pequot Lakes, Nisswa, Cross Lake, Ironton, all in the path of this very dangerous, now hail core producing storm. Hail was not the number one thing it was producing just moments ago, but now it looks like it is becoming that way. So keep that in mind. The new warning for you folks in Nisswa is for 70-mile-per-hour gusts, 1.5-inch hail, and we do have a considerable threat from this system as it works its way through. Does not say tornado possible, but this is lakes area in and around the Brainerd Lakes region right now. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see. I think I need to keep my eyes on my email here we got another photo. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, thanks for being a participant in Hutch's Weather. I know I got a lot of questions coming in. You're very welcome. Stay alert. Very large hail reported from a friend of mine concerning gusty winds as well. 3-inch hail, no concerns of a tornado. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and go back and see what's going on with the storm. Again, I'll reiterate the problem with this storm. One of the problems with this storm is it's starting to get pretty far away from the radar sites. So we have a radar here in Aberdeen. We have a radar here in Mayville, and we're talking about looking up into the cloud at least 2 miles up. And the other closest radars are now Duluth and Minneapolis, which are also a long way. This is radar no man's land, and we're still seeing a hail core potential with this storm that's pretty large. In other words, it's lofting up big time targets for the radar to hit way up 2 miles high into the atmosphere or higher. So that's what's going on. Storm chaser, New York Mills. And it is bad. Well, any kind of feedback that we can get, Kelly, would help us pass that along, but thank you very much. So as we zoom in on this storm, it is crossing right over New York Mills right now. This is the hail core out here. It extends for quite a big size of a hail core here. That's huge. And not only is that huge, the hail core is huge. I'd love to know some of the reports of the hail coming down as I'm tracking this. 1.5-inch hail is what the warning is for, but this just pulsed up to over 3.5 inches size potential. And in isolated places, you could probably find some softball size hail in a few spots. Now, when you're measuring hail, Hutch has a fancy pants graphic thanks to my friends at the National Weather Service forecast offices here, and they put this together. The best way to do this when you're measuring hail and reporting it to us is to let us know what the diameter is of the largest part of the stone. They're rarely exactly round like this. Now, it's much more preferable to actually get a measurement of the largest part of the hailstone's diameter. That tells us how big of a hailstone that the updraft can support. And, take a picture of it. Otherwise, take out a coin. Coins have known diameters, so we can use those to compare. If you have a quarter in your pocket, we're talking 1-inch diameter. That's severe hail. Anything smaller, we still want to know about it. Okay, nickels, pennies, and then we get down into small marbles. Well, I don't like using marbles because marbles can come in different sizes or whatever. So, we do know what peas look like. They're pretty uniform in size. But when we talk about apples, when we talk about grapefruits, and when we talk about eggs and limes, they can come in all kinds of different sizes and they vary quite a bit. So please try to do a measurement if you have a ruler handy at all. That does help. Big time RFD surge, says a certain chaser out here in the New York Mills area. So not only are we getting the hail core making its way over, but that's RFD surge is a rear flank downdraft. So now we got the warning extending out. Let's go to the regular radar data. We're going to look at this from multiple radars here now, and I got to get you all on the same page as Hutch here. Let's talking hail. Thanks for your hail reports. I'd love some hail pictures if you have an opportunity and when it is safe to do so. I really appreciate every one of you taking part in Hutch's Weather. Big time backward C shape here, surging wind, RFD surge on the rear flank of this storm. There are multiple thunderstorm cells in here. Folks, this is not one thunderstorm. This is multiple updrafts downdrafts. And then we got the hail core on the north side, and we got a downdraft side over here where we got some pretty heavy rain taking hold. So you can see the hail core here is the strong part of the storm. It's a little weaker here, but that don't mean the wind is weaker down near Parker's Prairie as we go into south and eastern parts of Otter Tail County. This is so far away as far as analyzing any rotation in the storm, it gets tricky, but I am seeing this little hook shape down here. And oftentimes on storms like this, it's that southern part where we got clean inflow into the storm where the rotating updraft can get put in. So we will analyze that as well. Now let's analyze a look at the velocities on here. This is going to be very hard to see, so I'm going to use double or triple Doppler radar to take a look at this. We're going to look at 3 or 4 of the different ones and see what we're seeing. This is basically using the Aberdeen radar. I can tell by the beams they're coming from Aberdeen. Okay, this is motion towards Aberdeen. The reds would be motion away. Storm relative velocity takes into account the 65 plus mile per hour movement of the storm. So we're not seeing a lot of real idealized shear here, and this is motion toward the Aberdeen radar. So I'm not seeing any evidence there, but again, this is really looking very high in the sky. On the backside of the storm, we might have some shear here near Urbank, but that's really hard to detect this far away from the storm. Again, we're looking at more than 10,000 to 12,000 feet in the sky right now. From the radar data. So here's the Mayville view of the same storms. Boom. Now we're getting a little bit more clear identity here that near Wadena, we do have some shear. See the bright colors here? That is very strong shear there just on the north side. That's your New York Mills area there. A report of an RFD, rear flank downdraft, making its way through. That would be storm exiting wind and whatnot from the backside of the storm. The updraft goes in, comes around, wraps up in the backside, and comes back down at you. Big time wind potential from that, but we have some significant shear just to the northeast of New York Mills right now. Let's measure how far away from the New York Mills area that is. Apparently, if we have chasers in the area, we have eyeballs on this monster, and that's a good thing, but 4.4 miles to the north and to the east of that particular location in New York Mills. So east and north of New York Mills by 4 miles, we have a pretty good rotation showing up on this and big time wind. So we're getting this little pooch out here. That's your gust coming in towards Wadena here. We got a little bit of shear. It's not as strong as the shear here because we have the very, very, very bright colors here. I would not be surprised if we have something going on a little lower in the clouds, but we got to remember what Hutch is looking at here is 2 miles plus up in the sky, and I'll get that from Mayville. This rotation is 12,000, almost 13,000 feet. So 2 to 2.5 miles above the ground is where that rotation is. The rotation in both spots is persistent, and the Wadena rotation on the north side of town did increase just a bit. We got some clockwise rotation near Hewitt down here that looks to be pretty organized and strong. Again, very high in the sky. What do you do with this information, Hutch? What I think and I suggest is anywhere from about New York Mills south to Wadena, all the way out here towards Verndale as you're going in towards Staples on Highway 10 here. I would get into the lowest floor or the basement of a sturdy structure. A tornado is going to be possible from this storm. With the hail core that size, when it collapses, it makes terrible winds, number one. Number two, we also have this risk of some shear and a spin up along this leading edge. Now I'm going to switch back radars one more time as we do the best job that I possibly can to try to keep us all apprised of what this storm is capable of. So we're going to go to the Chanhassen radar here. This is also very far away. Does it confirm the same location of the shear and the shear strength? And by golly, if I'm looking here near New York Mills, it's got bright greens and bright reds, but they're not touching each other anymore from this view. This, is it higher or lower into the cloud that we're looking at? It's important to know. This is 17,000 feet. Folks, we're 3 miles up and we're still seeing shear in the storm over this area. This is spin, deep spin through the cloud at 17,000 feet, at 13,000 feet. It does not mean a tornado is on the ground, but if you are just off to the east and northeast of New York Mills between Sabika and Wadena and Bluffton here, there is tight spin in this storm. Also over Wadena to Verndale,